Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting, it's hot. Look what I got, whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast, I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha. Yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what is meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited, like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me, how'd I turn pain into energy. Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
Get it, I'm on the mission, snap any minute, casually winning. Stop tripping on me, stop dissing on me. Yeah, I got a dream, can't take it from me. My fire's burning, I'm always learning. Tell me where to go, man, I'm on a journey. Yeah, I can't explain it, I get excited. Keep it 300, King Leonidas. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. I don't got the time, put me in, coach. I've been going hard, time to let it show. Everything raw, give it to me now. Let me have the spot, man, it's going down. Gotta get it here, I don't wanna wait. Take what I want, then I go train. Gotta get a win, I won't lose the game. This is my year, I ain't gonna break. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride.
Won't stop going till a player on top know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion, we put in this time. Look, you won't stop.
are live from Burbank, California, and it is Season 2 of the Snapdragon Pro Series. And today, it is all about Asphalt 9. I am so excited to be back in the studio. I am, of course, your host, Glitter Explosion, joined by FDAR and Marf here today for all of our racing action. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be super dope. I mean, we're here in the second season this time around. We've already seen some of these guys compete, so getting to see these players time and time again, that's when it gets really fun.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting season this time around. We got a lot of veterans, some new faces, and I'm really excited to be back.
I can't wait to dive into all of the action. But first, let's break it down how today's going to work a little bit, okay? We're going to have 2 brackets, of course, and we'll first talk about our iOS bracket here. You'll see down there at the bottom, it's going to be Pulsar going up against K, and you'll notice at the top half of the semi-bracket, Cheese Leopard decided to drop out of the tournament. Frogstaron will be moving on to the finals there, and we'll focus on that a little bit later because that's the second half of the show. We have to start talking about our Android bracket, which is going to be how we are kicking things off here today. So many recognizable names on the top half. We've got Diesel Dragon going up against Elite Joe, and then down there at the bottom we will have CJ up against RPM Pickle. 2 very, very intense matchups to be sure, but of course they're not only playing for bragging rights here today. There's some prize pool on the money as well. First place in both those brackets taking home $1,200, second place at $700, and moving on down from there for our top 4 finalists here today. It's going to be a really, really fun tournament. Last time, it was an absolute blast. And like you said, FDOT, we are bringing back so many veteran players, recognizable names. So let's talk about that a little bit. Tell me who you're keeping your eyes on here today.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about recognizable names and people to look at, it's Joe all the way. Repping the Elite Club. I mean, this is one of the... All right, folks, I'm just going to say, he's the best. He's the guy. He's the one to beat. There's a number of different disciplines that you need to have control over to be on top of your game here in Asphalt 9, and he is a 10 out of 10 in all those categories.
Yeah, for these types of competitions, if we had a GOAT, Elite Joe would be up there because he is just absolutely fabulous. In any tournament, he's won so many at this moment, like it's hard to count. And here we see the qualifying lap on Buenos Aires. A lot of precision, lots of control with this Lotus Elise. And yeah, overall, great qualifying lap from Elite Joe.
Yeah, he is most certainly a GOAT in the scene, to be sure. And we actually got a chance to know the GOAT a little bit better before today, so let's check it out.
Yo siempre he querido estar participando en mis videojuegos favoritos. Uno de ellos siempre ha sido Asphalt 9 Legends. Y aquí quiero demostrar siempre mis habilidades y además estar disfrutando de este gran juego. La verdad que yo la paso muy bien y muy feliz. Bueno, los jugadores ya los conozco. Ya jugué el torneo con ellos el pasado. La verdad son muy buenos y tengo que esforzarme muchísimo para realmente llegar a la victoria. De los 3, la verdad no, yo los veo por igual, la verdad que los 3 son muy muy fuertes. Pero la verdad, de la vez pasada cuando perdí con CJ, espero también igualmente enfrentarlo, pero igual a los demás. La verdad que los 3 son muy fuertes y que gane el mejor. La verdad que les mando un gran saludo a todos que me están apoyando. La verdad que gracias por todo su apoyo que se siente desde años que yo estoy aquí en las competencias. Y voy por la victoria por todos ustedes. Sí, claro, le mando un gran saludo a mi mamá, a mis papás que están siempre apoyándome, a mis abuelos, tíos, a mi novia, a mi hermana y también a todos mis seguidores que ahí me siguen en mi canal de YouTube. La verdad que les mando un saludo y gracias por todo el apoyo y vamos a ganar, vamos por esto.
I love when we get a chance to be able to hear a little bit from our players, and we also got to see that he's got some serious love and support from all of his family and friends on his journey here as an Asphalt 9 racer, if you will, okay? A driver. He's been doing great, and that's not all. Marf,
Yeah.
we heard from FDOT. Okay, he's picked kind of a heavy hitter, but I want to know who you're keeping your eyes on.
Well, I got to rep my RPM boys. So on the other side of the bracket, we have Pickle, and that's who I'm rooting for this time around. Unfortunately, dropped out of the tournament last time because he faced Elite Joe in that first roundup, but I'm hoping now he's on the other side of the bracket. I think he can punch above his weight class here and actually take home the title, go through the entire bracket flawlessly, as we see a flawless qualifying lap from him here on New York with the Lotus Emira. Some nice straightaways with some 90-degree bends here in New York, and overall, he's so good with driving these cars and making sure every precise move is done correctly, every speed trick is executed quite well, and yeah, just another great lap here, but this time it's from RPM Pickle.
All right, another phenomenal player, to be sure. And we actually got an opportunity to catch up with Pickle as well, not only to hear about how he got into competitive Asphalt 9, but where his name even came from.
Oh my gosh, it's like such a long story. Because it was back in middle school. I used to wear this like green jacket, and it was like some girls would like call me like Pickle Dairy. That's because my name is Derek, right? And so they came up with this nickname for me, and I adapted this into Pickle Derek, which is sort of like a play on Pickle Rick, because that was like a popular meme at the time. When I joined like my first like big club, which was A9UF, they would just call me Pickle, and it was easier that way. And so I eventually just took off the Derek because I also didn't want to use like my real name as much, which I'm more okay with now. But I just adapted it to Pickle, and I've just kind of gone with that. Well, I didn't really think that I would ever get into like competitive Asphalt 9. It was it sort of just worked my way up to it, and eventually just thought like I would give it a try. It's been a while that I've been playing Asphalt 9 since like the first few months that it was released. And at first I started slow, just playing like really casually, and then during the pandemic I started playing it more and realized like this is something I really like doing. And I started practicing more and improving, and I worked my way through better and better clubs, and eventually like I reached the level where I was thinking, you know, maybe I could participate in this ESL. This looks like a great opportunity for me, and I tried it out. This first time I like really gave it a good shot, I managed to qualify, and it's just been going on since then. First big club that I joined was A9UF. At that time when I joined, I was still like kind of new to the Asphalt 9 community. In fact, like I only started using Discord like more because of that when I joined that club, and they really helped me improve a lot as a player. The connection that I made through there. I sort of like grew the most in that club, and it was I'd already been in that club for a year, and at that point I was already pretty good at the game, but I had some problem with communicating with other players in that club because a lot of them were from different time zones than me, and I also wanted to like challenge myself more, and so I thought that I would leave for a new club, which was RPM, and I was pretty confident that it would take me since I'd already achieved some bigger things in the ESL, and it really worked out pretty well, the transition, and yeah, it's been a great club to be in. They've really pushed me to improve myself even more.
Listen, sometimes when you get a nickname, it just sticks. You have to run with it. Love that we got a chance to hear from Pickle and see a really cool setup in the background as well. But those are just our casters players to watch. Of course, this is the era of everyone, so it's still anybody's game right now as we take a look at that qualifying leaderboard, see how every single one of our players made it here today, the track and their times for what made them get here. It was not an easy road. Obviously, Elite Joe up here at the top. And speaking of Elite Joe, match number 1 right around the corner. It will be Elite Joe versus Diesel Dragon, as you saw down there at the bottom. And we already spoke about Joe, so let's deep dive Diesel Dragon a little bit here.
Yeah, Diesel Dragon, another returning face here. And this guy, again, a veteran of the scene as we get into his qualifying lap with the Lotus Evija on Nevada. And yeah, like I said, all of these players are just returning from previous tournaments because they're the best of the best. And I'm really excited because I think this clash of legends is going to be absolutely amazing to watch. This guy can pull up all of those ramps so well, lots of airtime. And yeah, so we're also going to look at the track schedule here for the races and a very nice variety of tracks here.
Yeah, for sure. We're looking at San Francisco, Himalayas, and then Auckland. And right off the rip, you're looking at Himalayas. This is going to be top speed oriented. A couple of different curves to be sure, but it's really just going to be about those straightaways. And then Auckland, kind of the opposite. That's going to be really just a lot of handling focus on sharp curves and corners that you've got to take a look at. And when it comes down to it, everybody's racing today in the same Lotus. And so looking at these different types of courses, the car is good at some of those things, but not all.
Yeah, the Lotus Evija is a very interesting car, one of the best in Class B. So we're going to have to see how these players get around with it with our tracks. And yeah, like I said, good variety of tracks. And this top speed focused vehicle is going to be really interesting to see how these players tackle Auckland if it gets to that point.
It's going to be super fun, but of course, the final piece to our pre-show puzzle chat is you. We want to hear from you. Let us know in that Twitch chat, the poll down below, who you think is going to be coming out on top in our first match of the day. Will it be Elite Joe, or do you think it will be Diesel Dragon? It's going to be tough to call for sure, but I am excited. Our players are loaded in and ready, so let's get Season 2 underway.
Let's do just that. We're going to jump in and dive right onto the track. So thank you so much, Glitter. We will see her a little bit later. Now it's time to take a look at some of our better players. Like we said, Diesel Dragon going head-to-head against Elite Joe. And Elite Joe, just kind of the guy who wins here. So it's up to Diesel Dragon to kind of, I think, make the mighty fall.
Yeah, and we saw last time Elite Joe took home the victory, and so this is going to be an upset if he loses. I'm really honestly a bit worried because he's done this for so long. Is he going to, go into this thinking, oh yeah, it's just going to be a piece of cake, like I can just walk all over this tournament, don't even need to try or anything like that? We've seen that a lot of time in esports, and so I'm kind of worried about, we've never really seen that type of domination in Asphalt 9 where a player just wins over and over and over again. Is Elite Joe going to falter here?
There are two types of players. Either you get complacent, you rest on your laurels, or you use that to kind of fuel yourself and bring you to the next level. I'm going to bring something up from qualifiers real quick. We saw Elite Joe qualifying, and he was using a very, very different car than what we're going to be seeing here played today. Whereas on the other side, Diesel Dragon qualified with the very same Lotus that they're going to be playing on today. And so that might give a little bit of insight if that's kind of your favorite car, what you've been working on. That might give Diesel Dragon kind of an upper edge.
Yeah, absolutely. The cars make a very big difference in this game. Sometimes cars will be more handling focused, sometimes they'll be more top speed focused, and sometimes players don't have a lot of experience with certain cars. So it'll be interesting to see if, like you said, Elite Joe qualifying with the Lotus Elise, a very slow car, but very good at handling around those corners, like we saw with his qualifying lap in Buenos Aires. So how is he going to deal with the Lotus Evija, which again is a top speed focused car, versus CJ, I believe, who he qualified in that car, so he's probably used to that car, maybe practicing with it a bit. So yeah.
And then there's the second conversation. We talk cars and their strength and how good they are at being top speed or handling or whatnot. And then we talk about the actual track itself. So Himalayas and Auckland are races 2 and 3. But that first one, how is that map? How is that track going to be affecting our players today?
Yeah, San Francisco is a very vertical track, which I absolutely love. I love all of those jumps, all of those different things that you can do with the speed tricks especially. And that's going to be a very important part of this game, is how are these players going to navigate those speed tricks? Have they discovered anything that we haven't seen yet? That's a big part of the game, is these players discover all these crazy nooks and crannies that you can get into the games and the physics. And Elite Joe is really good at showing those off in the tournament, which I think gives him that edge. But here we go. We're finally getting into the race. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Like I said, San Francisco, very fun track, lots of ups and downs. They call it the roller coaster ride, the city by the bay. And Elite Joe takes the early victory here as they go into the corner. Nice little boost there coming out from Elite Joe with a nice paint job. I got to say, I love the bright metallic red. Diesel Dragon following closely in some pastel purple, I believe, which I think looks pretty cool as they go onto the jump here on the bay. And a very close call here. Oh, will Diesel Dragon get the inside? He does! What an overtake. That was incredible. He's going to go through the railings here, gets that perfect nitro, mitigates the loss of speed over the rough terrain, and we'll see them hit those ramps. Like I said, very vertical as they're coming up onto the very large straightaway here. And another straightaway coming after this. Yeah, very good control over those 360s. Ooh, they're going to go for the traffic run here. You can oftentimes find players running into those cars, but they're going to take it so carefully. This is a really close race. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, this is the dangerous way to get through this section of the map. Both these players obviously top of the crop, so able to handle it no problem. Right now, our players separated by less than a second, and it's Elite Joe that's actually trailing, believe it or not. We're going to hit the ramp on the left-hand side and then keep going. That's our first lap. And again, surprise, surprise, Diesel Dragon in the lead, but there's an opportunity to overtake, I think, in this next jump.
Yeah, and one of the most interesting things about this tournament is the fact that these players are playing live. The qualifiers that they went through, there was no other live players. They could play over and over and over again to perfect every little detail, but now they're on a one-on-one. Elite Joe going through the inside route here. Is it going to be faster? I believe it might just be a touch faster if Elite Joe comes out of the side. Oh, but Diesel Dragon gets the ramp. He gets that airspeed, therefore he's going to come out in first. Interesting choice by Elite Joe. Not sure why he thought that would be a bit faster, but hey, maybe he had something up his sleeve. But they're going to go for the dangerous route again, but these players handle it so perfectly.
I mean, there has been a little bit of physicality right in the beginning of the map. We saw a bump on that first overtake, and so I think that might have been Joe's kind of thought process there, getting off of the rough terrain and getting back onto the track here, still trailing at the moment. And the end of the race is going to be coming up in just a matter of moments. And it looks like Joe, if he doesn't find this last ability, no, that's it.
That's it. Wow. What an incredible finish. We said that he might falter here. The nerves maybe getting to Diesel Dragon or the sort of complacency getting to Joe, but he takes the first race here. Joe on the back foot now.
Yeah, tough one here. We'll take a look at the replay. That's that physicality that I was talking about. Honestly, an early bump like that could spell outright disaster, and a lesser player might have been just thrown off completely. But honestly, it was that on the inside. You mentioned it during the actual race. That inside takeover there that I think made things happen for Diesel Dragon. After that, Joe never could come back.
That was such a smooth inside take. I love to see that. There's no knockdowns or anything like that. Sometimes these players can play dirty. We see that a lot on the iOS bracket. We love to call it a demolition derby. And yeah, overall, nice, clean race.
Yeah, very, very smooth. And like what I liked about that is, listen, I don't want anything too clean. Show me that you're giving it a shot. Show me. And so on some of those overtakes, even in the beginning, we saw a little bit of physicality, but no intentional just like throw us under and let it go. So it was just like a good, fun to watch match. And I hope that's what we get a chance to see the entirety of this afternoon.
Yeah, sometimes like a little bit of dirty drive in there. It's just fun to watch as a spectator. You know, sometimes, you know, the players then you might not be too happy about getting knocked down. But hey, demolition derbies are always fun to watch. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see that maybe on the iOS bracket where sometimes things can get a bit more sketchy. But overall, another great clean race coming out from both these players. They just handled it so well. Like you could watch, and it's very hard to point out the mistakes if you're not looking for every little tiny detail. But we saw sometimes, for example, Joe take the outside line, and I think ultimately that cost him in the grand scheme of things this time around.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of also opportunities to stay off of the rough terrain that Joe did not take. I phrased that kind of like Yoda, but he found himself on his rough terrain more often than you would like, and that's going to obviously slow you down a little bit, whereas across the way, Dragon did not find himself there majority of the time, and so I think that it was 0.7 of a second, and so because of that, I think that was that little bit of separation. But we're going to move from San Francisco into Himalayas, and if Joe finds this one, we'll go to Auckland after that. And so Himalayas here, this one is going to be more top speed oriented, and tell me if I'm right or wrong here, that's more Joe's wheelhouse than not.
Yeah, we see Joe doing very well with like tap drifting, wiggle drifting, and also, you know, making sure he can extend his lead with those straightaways. He does a very good job at handling those types of things. And yeah, so we're just waiting for the race to start real quick here. But again, like we talk about Joe's lines in the previous race, that's not going to come down too much here in this one because, you know, the lines in this track Himalayas, it can be important, but as we're going to start the race, we'll see which routes these players take. That's going to be the most important thing in this track here. And yeah, so it looks like we've had a bit of a disconnection, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we'll get it sorted out. Don't you guys worry. We're going to be right back into the action real quick as we get things sorted out. But Himalayas is going to be very interesting. Can Diesel Dragon close it in a 2-0? I think that's going to be the biggest upset of this tournament if Diesel Dragon manages to just get through it.
That's absolutely his goal right here. He's got to figure out how to find the victory. Obviously, going to a game 3, you still got another chance, but knowing who Joe is, knowing Joe's record, you want to win this right here and right now. And so you really got to go into this one understanding, you know, how much is on the line and take these opportunities. Look at what happened to Joe last time around and kind of download that information and react accordingly. Take away those inside lines for Joe, force him on the outside, and try to force him onto that rough terrain where he might think, and this is where that top player mentality gets to you a little bit, Joe might think that, well, I can deal with this rough terrain. I can get the win elsewhere. But if you deny the inside lines and everything else, then he won't be able to make up that time elsewhere. So forcing the opponent into the impossible decision, I think that's the look for Diesel.
And I love what you mentioned about studying the opponent, because that's something that Elite Joe doesn't really have on these players. Elite Joe, we've seen him play so many tournaments. It's very easy to study him and see exactly how he plays. Like we saw with those inside lines, we saw Diesel Dragon take those beautiful sharp corners going right through. And it was amazing. Maybe that's a result of playing this long, winning all those tournaments. If you're at the top of your game, the hardest part is staying there. That's where you separate the greatest from just the mediocre. Is if you can get to the top, sure, that's great. But you have to follow it up. You have to keep going for the greatest, and you have to follow that precision with more things that you have to discover in the game to get yourself ahead of everyone else.
And that's the difference between qualifying and then actually playing in a live race. You touched upon it really, really briefly in that first race, where when you're qualifying, there's nobody else on the track, there's nothing else you got to worry about. But once you introduce a live racer, all of a sudden, there's two games to be played when it comes to Asphalt, or really any racing idea, is the ideal line and then the line your opponent is taking. And you have to find the blend, because your opponent also knows the ideal line, and you've got to find a way to force that player out. Race number 2 here, Elite Joe in the hole, as Diesel Dragon did win the first one, and Auckland is on the docket if we do not make it there. So as we jump into our second race, I want to take the opportunity to thank Snapdragon, our partner. Listen, winning matters to each and every single one of these players, and Snapdragon Elite Gaming is where you go when winning matters.
And this is going to be a really exciting race. We can see the players, they took very different lines. Oh my God, Joe just wrecked. That is such an unbelievable thing to see. He rarely ever wrecks, and we can see him going through on the cliff side. And
is that it?
Yeah, you're right. It could be it. Just to give you guys some context here, every once in a while a player will wreck, and that's just it. That's done. Because as soon as you wreck, the distance is so great that it has to take some huge mistake from the player in front or some absolute amazing things from the player in back to keep up, and usually that just doesn't happen. We can see Joe doing 360s. He knows. And I mean, is this the upset of the tournament? He just disconnected? Did we just see that live? Oh my God.
My man, certainly feeling some type of way.
No way.
And Diesel Dragon, the designated driver, just bringing it home here. I mean,
do a victory lap, man.
Yeah, we're just partying.
This is the victory lap for Diesel Dragon. What an incredible upset. Elite Joe is not going to be taking the crown for this tournament.
Woof.
That's a real surprise. And I'm not sure, because we did see him at the beginning of the race not opt for the barrel roll, which Dragon did take. That gave him some airspeed. And Elite Joe just didn't do it. I could see he was trying to take a cleaner line, play a bit more safe. Sometimes players will take that, but it clearly didn't work out. And that's just such an interesting fumble.
See, like that's the mentality. That's what I was looking at as well. I saw that Joe was opting for the safer line because he doesn't have any cookies to play with. He's at match point. If Diesel Dragon wins this one, Joe doesn't come back. So you have to play kind of like the safe, be the tortoise, not the hare in this type of situation. But sometimes you roll snake eyes, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and here we go. Diesel Dragon taking a bit of an interesting route there, but he's going to take the win and advance in this tournament. Joe is going to be knocked to the 3rd, 4th place decider very early on here, which is a very surprise victory coming out from Diesel Dragon.
Insane. And this is, we'll take a look at what happened to Joe just in the early phases. We were talking a little bit. We were just kind of setting things up. And Joe comes down out of the straightaway and just winds up going for this launch. And
I think, unfortunately, what happened is he tried to go on that barrel roll, do the force barrel roll on the flat ramp, and he might have just cut it a bit too close. And the verticality of it, he might have just hit the edge of the cliff instead of hitting the track. Sometimes I mess that up, but these pro players, they should be doing that thousands and thousands of times. And Glitter, what did you think about that race? That was incredible.
I knew today was going to be a really good way to kick off Season 2, but would I have anticipated one of the best players going out in a rage quit fashion? No, and I'm here for it, okay? This is a fantastic way to kick things off. I mean, Diesel Dragon with a massive upset and solidifying a spot in finals. That has to feel good. And now we get to find out who's going to be going up against Diesel Dragon in those finals. Okay, we get a chance to take a look back at the bracket. We'll see, like I was just saying, Diesel Dragon now in the finals, and like Marf had mentioned, Elite Joe down there in the 3rd place match. And then who both of those players will be going up against will be determined next between our match with CJ and Pickle. All right, now let's start things off by talking about CJ. This is going to be another good one.
He qualified out through Scotland, and that's one of the maps that we're going to be able to play here today. Don't know if that's going to be on their docket for them in the semifinals, but taking a look at CJ, I think that he's just one of the more well-rounded players when it comes down to it. Marf, what's your take?
Yeah, CJ, again, like with all the other players, has been here multiple times. I don't believe he's won before, but this is going to be his opportunity to take it, but unfortunately he's going up against my boy Pickle, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is his qualifying lap on Scotland. It might be a very simple track on the face of it. However, there are lots of little speed tricks you can use to get that advantage in milliseconds, and that's what matters in this, is those little frames. And this is the Freedom Route, one of the longest tracks here in Asphalt 9. You can see the beautiful lightning going across, and this was an incredible stunt here. He goes off the side of the cliff to get airtime, and when I saw that and then I tried to play that qualifying lap, I just could never pull that off. That was an absolutely insane stunt, and you know what? He deserves to be here because of that. I was just so unbelievably amazed when I saw that.
So is that technically a wall ride, or are you still, because you go faster, right?
It kind of counts as the air, even though you're colliding with something. It's not technically the track, so you still get that air time even if you're bouncing off of a cliff, I guess. So, and what an amazing speed trick here.
I mean, fancy. Fancy. But of course, CJ is going up against your pick, Marf, in Pickles. You've got to be excited for this one.
My boy Pickle about to take it home. Now that Elite Joe is out of the question, I mean, Pickle could take it all the way now. CJ is a very good competitor. We've seen it before, but I believe my boy Pickle, now he has the opportunity. We'll take, again, another look at the qualifying lap here on the New York track with the Lotus Emira. Again, what is really interesting is just the specific way that he takes a lot of these corners. You might think Asphalt 9, a bit of an arcade game. Cornering shouldn't matter that much, right? Well, unfortunately, or fortunately for these players who can do it really well, cornering is super important, and sometimes players don't pay too much attention. But look at that incredible turn here on the 90-degree bend. This guy knows how to corner, and it shows, hitting no walls. Nothing is mistaken here with his lap. It's just a beautiful thing to watch because there's no obvious sign of mistakes or anything like that as he takes these amazing ramps, going through the subway here. Again, another place where the line and the cornering matters a lot.
Now, when it comes down to this, listen, this is just the most unrealistic track in Asphalt. There's no traffic, okay? There's just no traffic here. And that's just not going to be okay. But we will do the same maps, the same tracks that we saw earlier on San Francisco, Himalayas, and then Auckland if we need it, which we didn't last time since Joe couldn't make it to the end.
We'll have to see if that's some foreshadowing or not for our second match of our Android bracket, because that second match is ready to go. Let's just keep this thing going. It's been fun so far.
Rolling right on into it. Matchup number 2. Now, listen, I know that you are Team Pickle all the way. You guys share the RPM tag. But realistically, as we zoom out, we have to talk about how much things just changed. You come into a bracket like this, and everyone is looking up at Joe and wondering who's taking second place. Now, it's a whole different game. These players are coming into this match thinking differently than they did just 20 minutes ago.
And now we have to talk about pressure, because it's like, well, is the pressure relieved because the favorite is no longer here, or is the pressure on because the favorite isn't here? Yeah. You can possibly take it. As we see the same track as last San Francisco, CJ taking an underhand line here, pulling out in front of Pickle, but he's not too far behind at all. Bit of a disconnection issue from CJ, but I believe he's still going to be in the race. But we can see Pickle's line here, absolutely beautiful, going onto the first ramp, now onto the second one. Again, chaining these air times is going to be super important. Unfortunately, it seems like we got a disconnect from CJ. Can happen, but Pickle, he's going to go for the risky route here, going through the traffic. Sometimes you can...
Might as well.
Yeah, you might as well now. But it was a really good lap initially from Pickle, and we can see that his lines are really good. Previously, we saw Joe take that corner a bit of an outside. Pickle just absolutely nails it. There is no question. Oh my God, I've never seen that before. I didn't even know you could do that. Get some extra little airtime, and again, the frames matter. Every little millisecond counts.
Everything does. Whenever we see these, when we see, standard race, the top players are separated by, tenths of a second. And so every little bit counts. You're going to get off the ground for half a second. That's going to make you half a second faster than the opposition. Like Marv said earlier, those wall rides count as being in the air. Anytime your wheels aren't on the ground, you're moving faster. And so that's what you want to be looking for. Those little tiny things that you're looking for. Those little tiny advancements are really what you're looking for.
Yeah, those speed tricks are really important to getting that airtime, and that's what separates the best from the mediocre, is those little pockets of airtime that players can get, because I believe you go around 30% faster in your top speed in the air. 30% is a huge margin for these
That's about
cars.
a third.
Yeah, it's about a third, exactly. And so what you see Pickle doing is taking advantage of that. We'll see if he does this on this lap around, if he can manage to bump against that. There he goes. Yeah. Even that little bit, you're going over the normal top speed of the car, and that just gives you the competitive edge. He knows he's about to win, or at least for this race anyway. So he's doing some victory 360s here as he crosses the finish line.
Nice look. Unfortunately, we're CJ. We will check up with the admins in a matter of moments to see what race number 2 is going to look like. But Pickle comes out 2:11, definitely a respectable time here, and we'll take a second look at how Pickle was able to do that. Maybe keep an eye on some of the other speed tricks that didn't get as much prominence as that wall ride later on in the pull, because what a fun look for Pickle here.
Yeah, as we can see here, the unfortunate disconnect. But what I want to mention is if you're a new player trying to get into Asphalt 9, maybe you want to qualify for the next tournament, take a look at how Pickle takes the corners and how he manages to take advantage of all the airtime he can get. That's super important to making sure that you can finish before your opponent.
Yeah, every little bit counts. Like I said, you look at these best players, they are separated by tenths of a second. And so these small adaptations, the speed tricks, the small little wins that you find, might think, you know what, it's like 0.3 seconds worth of speed, who cares? Well, you're going to win the game by 0.3 seconds, and that's how you're going to find them, by those little wall rides, by these, Tony Hawk grinds. We'll see a little bit of that a little bit later as well. But try to maximize your speed, try to maximize your time in the air. Obviously, we can get down to, like, boost efficiency and everything, but really, maximizing your time in the air is one of the key pillars of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And to quote the late Ayrton Senna, one of the most famous race car drivers ever, if you don't go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. And these players have to go for every little gap, every little airtime, every little speed trick that they can get in order to take the advantage.
Every little bit counts. And right now we have a Joe waiting in the wings, not of the finals. That I honestly expected. I was just going to say Joe is waiting for an opponent in the finals, but it's not Joe. It's Diesel Dragon that's sitting there. And I think again, I want to talk about how this just becomes a realistic competition now. Again, these are players that I'm sure they have all the confidence in the world. Might have been shooting for second place because Joe's just so established, but now this is a chance for victory. CJ back against the wall on match point, has to find the early lead here as we jump into Himalayas. And Pickle
doing a bit of drifting here for CJ. He's trying to get some nitro to boost himself off the ramp. Oh, that could have been a knockdown, but thankfully it wasn't. When you land on an opponent, that's an automatic knockdown. But CJ takes the early lead. Pickle in behind, trying to utilize the top speed and break nitroing to get some more nitro for this jump. Using Shockwave is always a good idea because you can get up to your top speed the fastest. And both players, they managed to pull it off where Joe couldn't.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's what Joe was fishing for and came up empty. Pickle winds up doing the good stuff. Still a little bit behind CJ, but both players going to be looking for these barrel rolls. CJ a little less clean than Pickle, but he's in front, so he can handle that at the moment. If Pickle wants to find an opportunity to get in first place, Marv, where does that happen?
I think he has to get as much airtime as possible, but he also has to make sure that he doesn't land too harshly because he'll lose some speed. But at the end of the day, Himalayas is one of those tracks that's deceptively simple, but like we saw in the previous lap, there's lots of opportunities for airtime. CJ takes some with that barrel roll. Pickle doesn't. He opts for the more safe route, but it looks like he might be catching up ever so slightly as they go for both of these ramps. Ooh, Pickle doesn't go for the second one. He only goes for the first one.
Do you like that?
Will that mess him up? I do, because look, you can see here, Pickle takes the inside route. CJ can't quite do it. This will let Pickle go for that insane jump we saw last time. This might be the deciding victory here if he can take over CJ.
And so this was a great example of kind of, trading out for one. You lose that speed what you're going to get from the jump, but you gain that speed by taking the inside track. That said,
Pickle, I don't think he completed that barrel roll, so he didn't get the nitro. Might have landed a bit incorrectly there, so he is not going to take the victory for this time around. I don't believe Pickle now has any more opportunities to take the lead unless CJ really fumbles things, which we know all these players have been here before. More than likely, CJ is going to be just A-okay as they come into one of the final straightaways around the last 10% of this track. And it looks like CJ is going to level the odds after that unfortunate disconnect in the first race, but now we got a true game on our hands.
That's what we like to see. Listen, I was definitely a little bit of bias cast in there. I wanted to see a strong race. We got a strong race. Pickle winds up filling just about a full second after CJ, but the finish for game number 3, that's what I'm excited about. We didn't get a chance to see Auckland in our first matchup, so we'll head there. But first, let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, and here we can see the players taking the similar routes, but here we go. There's the difference maker. CJ taking that airtime, RPM Pickle opting for the safer route. That's going to lose him some time, and here we can see the victory from CJ. Just amazing racing. Pickle messed up a couple of those barrel rolls, unfortunately, and I think CJ took it from that.
That is the case here, is that at the end of the day, you know, Pickle was able to kind of put together a nice looking run, but ultimately CJ wasn't perfect.
CJ, oh, it was very close. I mean, he managed to take that jump that Joe actually failed. Both players did it on the first lap, but on the second lap, that was the difference maker. CJ did it, Pickle couldn't, and I think that was a difference maker on that second lap. Yeah.
Was it because we discussed a little bit about the trade-off there. Was it a choice by Pickle to avoid that jump and go for the inner track, or did he just not have the ability to go for it?
I think that's an interesting question because sometimes players can see different routes as more safe than others, even if to other players it might be the more risky route. So It could have been a deliberate decision. I'm not quite sure. I think that would be a great question to ask. But I think going for the safer route in that situation might have been better for CJ, and I think that's what he did, and it turned out well. Pickle just messed up his race.
And that was, again, we come down to, the risk versus the reward. CJ losing map number 1, has nothing left to nothing left to lean on, can't afford to lose, has to go for the safety because we saw if you wreck, you lose. And so you go for the safety, can't afford it. Auckland will hit the streets, very, very different than Himalayas. This is going to be an extremely handling-focused map. A lot of curves, as opposed to last time around, it was pretty much just straightaways and jumps.
And already we see a route differentiation here from the two players. CJ taking the inner route, which I actually haven't seen before. I didn't know that was faster. And interestingly, Pickle is now behind CJ. This isn't too far of a lead here, so at any moment this can change. But what an interesting decision by CJ. Maybe he was saving it just for this tournament, but the meta is to go where Pickle went. We all thought that was faster, but CJ pulling out some moves here. Again, these players are basically neck and neck at this opportunity, or at this point. And Pickle and both CJ taking those corners quite well, saving up for that shockwave acceleration as Pickle goes into the straightaway here. Now, Auckland is very interesting. It's modeled after real racetracks, but of course, you're not going to see Lotuses doing barrel rolls at 200 miles per hour. I love to see it. But yeah, a close race so far. A bit of wall bumping here, as we can see. Pickle taking an inside line. Not quite the most pretty lap we've ever seen. Pickle actually missed that shockwave as they come here into the 180.
This is a crazy turn. Watching the players kind of figure out that one, because it's not that difficult to pull off, but you got to find the right line in order to maintain your momentum and your top speed. And as we enter the second lap, I want your take, Marv. Who had the better lap?
Well, I think in the previous lap, CJ obviously had the better lap. He came out on top, but both players actually opting for that safer route I was talking about that I thought was faster. Interestingly, CJ did not go for that route he did previously, which is quite interesting. I mean, it worked for him. Not sure why he didn't take it, but hey, he still has the lead, but this gap is closing ever so slightly every second. One mistake from CJ could be the deciding factor here. Pickle is just on his tail throughout this whole thing. Oh my God, what an insane turn.
And this is definitely a map that is more... We are more likely to see mistakes on these types of maps than on the previous one with a bunch of the... You know what? I'll take that back. Some of the jumps on Himalayas can be a little bit scary, but I look at these twisty turning maps, and this is where you can really just mess things up.
Yeah, some of those other tracks are all about executing speed tricks. This one is precision. You have to take every corner with immense efficiency and precision. That's what we've seen some of these players do. Pickle pulling out the shockwave, catching up ever so slightly, like we've said throughout this whole race. Will he take the inside line here as they go around the 180-degree bend? Oh, it's close. CJ just barely has it as they come onto the straightaway. I think CJ has just pulled out the reverse sweep. This is going to be close. He's neck and neck. The knockdown comes out. Pickle takes the win. What an insane finish coming here from Pickle. I cannot believe my eyes.
And that's why you play it out, folks. CJ in the lead for 99.8% of the race. And then in the last moment, stumbles, bumbles, and it's the other way around. Beautiful play there.
Yeah, both players, I think in general, you know, if you're looking at this from a general point of view, both players played this extremely well. There wasn't really too many big mistakes. It came down to in the first half of the race, CJ was just pulling every line so well, but as we could see later on, Pickle starting to catch up, and it was that final jump, that final deciding factor. Pickle goes a bit shallow here in the corner, takes a higher or a bit of a wider trajectory, and knocks down CJ.
Just insane stuff. That one really impressed me because, again, all about bringing it all the way to the end. And we're going to bring in Lauren here right quick and say hello. That one was nuts, huh?
What's happening today? You saw it in the replay. He literally got knocked down. Here's the finish line. Here's where he got knocked down. Like, that has to hurt. I'm not going to lie. That one's got to sting a little bit. Phenomenal performance so far. Fantastic way to kick off the entire day, especially our Android bracket. All right, let's look back at that actually and show you guys how it's all going to play out. Our finals will be Diesel Dragon versus RPM Pickle, and then playing it out for our third, fourth place match will be Elite Joe up against CJ, which is the match that will be right around the corner. So do not go anywhere. You're watching the Snapdragon Pro Series.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Monster Energy, and DHL.
Gotta get it, I'm on the mission, snap any minute, casually winning. Stop tripping on me, stop dissing on me. Yeah, I got a dream, can't take it from me. My fire's burning, I'm always learning. Tell me where to go, man, I'm on a journey. Yeah, I can't explain it, I get excited. Keep it 300, King Leonidas. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. I don't got the time, put me in, coach. I've been going hard, time to let it show. Everything raw, give it to me now. Let me have the spot, man, it's going down. Gotta get it here, I don't wanna wait. Take what I want, then I go train. Gotta get a win, I won't lose the game. This is my year, I ain't gonna break. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side.
On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here.
On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true. Where everything you want can be yours. If and only if you're willing to work for them. You're willing to hurt for them. But most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we just saw arguably one of the most epic finishes that we have seen in an Asphalt 9 race to date, F-Dot.
I mean, I'm sitting out here. I've got my bracket. I've got my notebook. I'm filling in CJ reverse. Wait, what? Last couple of seconds, Marv, we just see CJ fall down to the wayside, and it's Pickle, your homie, that's now in the finals.
There was no doubt in my mind for 1 second.
Yeah.
He was going to pull it through. I absolutely knew it, but that was a photo finish if I've ever seen one. What an incredible victory by RPM Pickle.
Honestly, I love this. Okay, we couldn't ask for a better way to kick off the entire tournament. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Of course, Glitter Explosion here alongside F-Dot and Marf. We have 2 of our matches in the book. And believe it or not, our finals matchup is right around the corner. And we've got a lot to talk about with that.
It doesn't feature Elite Joe, just like
Yeah.
you know, which is the first time in a long time that we can say that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's been a recent time in memory on the Android side where he hasn't at least been in the grand finals. Like, this is really insane stuff here. This is new history being written on the Android bracket.
And you want to know what? The way Joe missed it, the way Diesel Dragon made it was not an okie doke, not an oopsie. This was Diesel Dragon raced better than Elite Joe.
Yeah. We can confidently say now in this tournament that he took down one of the greatest of all time here on the Android side. And on the other side for the race, what an incredible finish by RPM Pickle. This is just coming together to be an awesome storyline.
Of course, which means we got to talk about it, okay? Diesel Dragon up first here versus Pickle, but both of them with crazy races to start off the day. I don't even know how this one's going to play out.
Neither do I. Neither do I. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, this is where I try to kind of like figure out what type of player you are and this, that, and third. But we're comparing kind of apples and oranges when you look at the type of player that these guys were racing against. Diesel Dragon going up against the GOAT in Elite Joe has to race differently than Pickle did versus CJ, who, listen, I'm going to move a little far away from Marf here, but like Pickle might have gotten a little lucky at the end with CJ.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was calculated, precision, everything. I don't know what you're talking about. That was an incredible move by Pickle. But yeah, Elite Joe faltering here, especially on the second part here, where he tried to go for this barrel roll and unfortunately just didn't land it where Diesel Dragon did. And that's the skill gap right there for this time around. Diesel Dragon taking a bit of a victory lap for himself to confirm his place in the grand finals matchup.
Pickle qualified via New York and then looked even better when it came out into the real thing. He went head-to-head against CJ, and all jokes aside, these players looked really race number 1 was a little bit rough. Race number 2, these players looked evenly matched. They were separated by less than a second, and then when we got into race number 3, it was CJ for 99% of it. But here's the thing. Listen, they always say, luck is the intersection of preparation and opportunity. And it would have been really easy for Pickle to be like, all right, CJ's in the lead, there's no more opportunities, whatever, unplug, see you later. But the stick-to-itiveness of Pickle made him stay in the race. And because of that, when CJ tripped over his shoelaces at the very last moment, Pickle was there to pick it up, run with it, and that's why he's in the finals.
Both players fought until the very end. It was a very respectable matchup. But that takedown at the end, we keep going back to it because it's just such a cinematic masterpiece of a photo finish for this race. But like I said, commendable for both players. What an incredible series they both played. We thought it was going to be the reverse sweep from CJ, and then Pickle just pulls out this incredible knockdown, as you can see, in the middle of the air, barrel rolls and everything. We're like seeing a dogfight.
Okay, you know what? I will take that back. Not luck, that was. So I didn't see how that went down. I thought CJ just wound up crashing himself. That, listen, sometimes you gotta get a little bit dirty And Pickle's in the finals because of it. Not afraid.
And here we can see the track list for the best of 5 grand finals.
Shanghai is going to be starting us off, and the variants here as well. Marv, you can help us in deep dive for sure, but we're going to do Shanghai, Cairo, and then U.S. Midwest. I actually really like that map. We'll go to Caribbean and then New York if we need to. Caribbean scares the heck out of me. That's one of the harder courses in my mind.
It is a twisty devil, Caribbean, but now we're seeing a lot of different tracks that we haven't seen before. So this is going to be really interesting to see how these players tackle 5 different tracks if we need it. Like we said, best of 5. But yeah, new variety of tracks with the same car. So these players have some acquaintance with this car. So we'll see how they handle the new tracks.
Okay, chat. Today has been very chaotic so far, which of course means we need to check back in with you and hear your opinion on the whole thing, okay? Who do you think's taking home the grand finals in our Android bracket? Will it be Diesel Dragon or will it be Pickle? Let us know in that poll down below in Twitch chat because we want to know what you have to say. But grand finals already, somehow. It is grand finals time for our Android bracket. Let's kick this thing off.
I am dummy excited to jump into this one, Marv, mainly because this is not what we expected. And I say this all the time. Listen, commentators can come up here, and we have our stats, and we have our history, and so that will lead you into thinking a certain thing is destined to happen. But then when it doesn't, that means sports happened. If you are surprised, that means sports happened. Joe not being here, that's sports, baby.
Now we know the caster's curse. But I predicted Pickle was going to be here, and oh my gosh, both these players are running out of the gate with some insane speed tricks. Both these players getting so much airtime here on Shanghai, a very technical track coming out, and this is one where we'll see a lot of airtime and how these players can maximize their speed tricks. Diesel Dragon a bit behind Pickle here in the first lap, but not too far behind to the point where it's like, you know, you should give up or anything like that. This is still very much doable for Diesel Dragon here if he can take some inside corners. Wow,
nice.
An amazing clean line. And keeps the shockwave going into that barrel roll. Will we see any nitro punches? No, we won't. They're going to go through clean. Sometimes nitro punches and floaty drifts, which are different techniques that these players use. Sometimes some cars are better at it than others. And with this Evia, it seems like just keeping it simple is the way to go as they head onto the final straightaway of our first lap.
We haven't seen much of the floaty drift. That's when you see those 360s as they come through a curve. So again, like you were saying, certain cars better at certain maneuvers and speed tricks. So, but we've seen a lot more out of this this Lotus has been the attention to the speed tricks and trying to maximize that airtime. I'm thinking of the tunnel that we saw a little bit of the wall ride earlier on. Those are the maximizations that we are going to be looking for, I think, in this car, more so than some of the drift tricks.
Yeah, and as we're seeing here, Diesel Dragon fumbling a bit of those corners. We saw him bump into some of the walls previously coming out of the second lap in our first section here. And now this lead has kind of extended back to where Pickle's in like a pretty big, significant lead. It's getting closer as we're going on the straightaway. Diesel Dragon doing a great job maximizing top speed, getting shockwave out of the corner, but it seems like Pickle might take this if he doesn't mess up.
Diesel Dragon winds up that last curve that we saw. He does that better than Pickle, but Pickle nails these straightaways a little bit cleaner, I think, than Diesel Dragon. So the little bit that Diesel Dragon gains is then lost just a second later as we hit these further jumps and moves. And so because of that, we see Diesel Dragon going to be finishing off in that second place, separated by less than a second, but still, that, what is that, 0.8? That is a large gap between these two players.
Yeah, every little second counts here. Every little millisecond counts. Overall, this is a clean race. Both these players were very technical in how they took the corners, but unfortunately, it did seem like Diesel Dragon just bumped into a bit too many corners too often, and that lowered his top speed. Diesel Dragon not able to take advantage of the straightaways enough to catch back up to Pickle. And yeah, we start out with a 1-0 lead for Pickle, my boy. About to take the grand finals, you know it.
We will see if that's the case. Definitely, well, locked and loaded, one in the pocket for the Pickle. And so got to win 2 more. Our second race, how do you feel going from Shanghai? Because you said this was a very technical track, yeah?
Yeah, it's a very technical track because every stunt you have to participate in has to be executed very well because every player knows the tricks of this map. So if you don't do it perfectly, you're going to fall behind.
So it's one of those. So that's the thing is that we see some of these tracks like the last one that we were in the semifinals where you can sort of opt for these risky maneuvers or you can play it safe. Whereas then you have the other tracks here like Shanghai where this is what you're expected to do. And if you don't take some of these advantages, you are behind for not putting yourself ahead if you can get in the mindset there. And so there's just a default amount of speed tricks that you have to take. And if you opt for the safety, you're winding up just falling a little bit to the wayside.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like I said, people have mastered these tracks over the past couple of years, and these players are no exception. As we head into the second race here on Cairo, a top speed focused track with some very wide bends. Interesting to see how these players take those bends. We'll see if they pull out those punch or those nitro punches, maybe some floaty drips here and there.
Yeah, I'm going to be I think the make or break moment will be that 360 that you've got to look out for here on Cairo. Are we going to see that in this variant?
I believe this variant will include it at the very end of the lap, if I'm not mistaken, so we'll have to wait and see how that turns out. Oh, these players are neck and neck.
Oh, he's going to...
Bumper to bumper, rail to rail coming out, and there knockdown. Oh my gosh, in the middle of the air. Now, this is pretty early on in the race. Maybe Diesel Dragon fumbles, Pickle catches up. Otherwise, we could see the tie here with 1-1 from Dragon making a comeback in the second race, but I don't know about that. Diesel Dragon looks pretty confident here going out on the straightaway, and this gap has just widened so much because of these straightaways. I don't think Pickle will have anything to say about it until we get to that more technical part of the track.
So now if you're Diesel Dragon with this large lead, do you just play super safe knowing that if you fall down, you could wind up giving your opponent the lead, or do you still go for those speed tricks and those crazy plays and the risky maneuvers in order to just keep pushing that time down?
Yeah, I think you play as safe as possible here. You can see your opponent on the mini-map, so you play safe, make sure you don't wreck, make sure you don't make any mistakes, and then you see, okay, is your opponent catching up? Ooh, a bit of a weird traffic hit there. I don't know if that slowed him down too much, but it certainly wasn't a near miss. So that actually took out the opportunity for Pickle to get extra nitro there from that car, but this gap is just widening even longer now as we head into the second lap here. Diesel Dragon making sure he takes advantage of all those ramps here, chaining together some amazing jumps. Pickle, a bit of a weird 360 there. I think he knows that he might not have this in the bag here. And I think in 30 seconds, we'll see a tied score 1-1 in this best of 5 grand finals.
Yeah, Pickle, I think, is starting to think about our next race. That's going to be on US Midwest, and so certainly a little bit of a different track than Cairo for sure. But ultimately, this is very funny because I think this is the biggest gap between cars that we've seen. Yeah. And in the beginning of this race, that was the tightest gap that we saw between cars. So ultimately, it came down to the fact they were so close that we looked for the overtake in the air, which I want to ask you. So there's etiquette when it comes to Asphalt. It's not against the rules to bump or brake, but you don't want to outright look for it. If you're in the air in that situation, are you looking for that takedown? Or are you trying your best to avoid and oops, he went down?
You want to avoid at all costs. You want to be a clean player unless you like the dirty plays and you like to make your opponent mad, as we saw in a couple of previous races. But Pickle finishing second here. The score will be tied at 1-1 for our tracks here for the best of 5 grand finals. A very clean race coming out from Diesel Dragon after a very early knockdown, which I'm surprised that Pickle didn't try and come back from this a lot. We didn't see a lot of different speed tricks coming out from him in that second lap, so that gap just widened ever so more as the race went on. And here we can see that knockdown taking place in the second ramp, going out near the pyramids, and that was the deciding factor for the second race.
Yeah, it's so funny. Again, sports happen. We knew exactly when it comes down to Cairo, we know the hard parts to look at. We know where that big 360... No, it was on the third jump. Obviously, that's where the sausage is going to be made. Of course. Fun stuff, though. That's why we wind up playing the game. And because of that, as you said, tied at 1. So we're going to head out to our third track in a matter of moments. US Midwest. Set the table for us here. What are we expecting on this track?
Ooh, US Midwest is a fun one. We got some nice sidewinders, some apexes and chicanes you have to deal with, some very twisty turns here in the Midwest. But sprinkled in, we got a little bit of jumps, a little bit of technical speed tricks that these players know. This track is very well known. It was one of the original tracks in the game. So I believe it's been almost 4 years, or it has been 4 years since these players have played on US Midwest. So hopefully we're going to see some new stuff that we haven't seen in a while. Otherwise, we're going to see some clean races, some very safe racing maybe coming out, executing lines very well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's what I like about looking at these long time tracks is when the new tracks come out, you're going to find that tech, that latest cool, oh man, didn't know you could do that type beat. Listen, we'd all done this one many, 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 many times. So we know what's expected, and you're looking for, I don't want to say the failures, but you're looking for the times when the players don't wind up reaching that goal.
Now here we can see some of the technical mastery coming out on this track using the railing to get more airspeed, and this is Whirlwind Curve, personally my favorite track in the entire game, so I'm very interested to see how these players are going to go around. One of the most old tracks in Asphalt 9, see those speed tricks. Like we already saw Diesel Dragon taking a bit of an inside line, not quite getting the lead here from Pickle as it is quite early on in this track, but again, we'll see if these players, are they going to take the forced barrel roll? Looks like Dragon is! Oh my god, what an incredible move. The gap is so close.
Keeping it low to the ground, and Pickle keeping it even more grounded. Gonna get wiped out, but still has vision on Diesel Dragon. So this one, I'm not as quick to say it's all over just yet, knowing the Dragon could fall down to the wayside as well. Pickle, though, trailing by a number of seconds, going to have to find a win somewhere else.
Yeah, we just saw Diesel Dragon hit some traffic incorrectly. That's going to give Pickle a bit of a chance to catch up here as we head into the final section of our first lap. This could close the gap between Pickle and Dragon if we see Dragon mess up a bit here as we go onto the final chicane around this second lap. What a beautiful track. You got the tornadoes in the background. Diesel Dragon, let's see if he opts for the rail trick. He doesn't. He's playing very safe, similar to what we saw previously in Cairo.
Pickle knows that he has to find, that's that Tony Hawk grind I was talking about. The game thinks you're still in the air, so you're still moving about a third faster than everybody else. Those are the speed tricks you have to go for. Diesel Dragon, on the other hand, he's playing for safety, not for speed. So Pickle's the one that's going to go the distance. At least he hopes.
Yeah, hopefully Pickle understands that this isn't over quite yet. Yeah, he failed that forced barrel roll. Luckily, it didn't cost him too much speed. He still is in the air, had some nitro, and now we see a wall ride coming out.
It didn't cost him speed, but it didn't gain him speed, and that's the problem. I think Pickle needed to nail that forced barrel roll. But with the drop of the FB, he's not going to be able to find that extra boost that he needed, and that's what's going to make the difference here for Diesel Dragon. That, I said earlier, I wasn't ready to kind of call it. I think with the drop of that forced barrel, I think this one goes to Diesel Dragon, as long as he doesn't, you know, drop the device.
Yeah, I think he's going to be quite A-okay here coming out onto the final air section here. Pickle, he managed to do a pretty nice comeback here, but just messed up some of the important jumps, and we'll see a lead being taken by Diesel Dragon here in our best of 5 grand finals, up 2-1. Pickle's on the back foot now. Can he recover in our next couple of tracks?
Rough there, because for Pickle, I think he nailed that last lap almost perfectly. You saw even that last jump at the end, just narrowly avoiding the wall, taking the most inside that you could. But that's that forced barrel that worked out the first time around, and because he wasn't able to nail it on the second lap, I think that ultimately was the difference maker.
Yeah, that was it right there.
Look how clean that is, though.
Yeah, it was a very clean lap. I think both players did a really good job. If these players weren't professional, if these players weren't at the very top of the game, you'd look at that lap and be like, that's perfect. That's perfect, yeah.
It's the small things that separate the winners and the losers here. But, you know, as philosopher Vin Diesel once said, doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. And so we see here the victory goes to Diesel Dragon, 2 above 1, and we are jumping into bonus Asphalt. We get to go to map number 4 here, which should be a lot of fun. Previously, we didn't, well, no, we made it to game number 3 earlier on, so I'll eat my words real quick. But heading into track number 4 should be exciting. I think these guys, Diesel and Pickle, match up really well.
Yeah, I thought this might not be a close game considering that these players haven't been in a grand final, I believe. Maybe CJ was previously, but Pickle certainly, last time I believe he bombed out because Joe replaced him in the grand finals, but this time he has the opportunity to take it. Does Pickle come into this next race with the winner's mentality? Can he take it? Can he say, I'm on the back foot, but I need to control the pressure, make sure I hit every line perfectly, and take back the victory from Diesel Dragon?
And that's the beauty when it comes down to this situation, is you find yourself in game 4, you're down one whole matchup. If you win, it's a single race. It's just one for the money. So that's what you have to think about, one by one. And this is, I'm going to say my least favorite map. I like it, but it's just it's incredibly difficult to race on.
Yeah, it's one of those where if you're not watching everyone else do it, if you're not looking at YouTube, you're not looking at everyone else trying it, you're not going to know exactly how to take it. An inside line taken by Pickle as he maintains this early lead, coming out with the shockwave onto the straightaway here. One of the only straightaways here on Caribbean. It's a really great opportunity to maximize this car's top speed, which is one of its strong suits, as we come here onto some more barrel rolls on the beach.
Such an inspired track Caribbean is. I always find that very reminiscent. But
Diesel Dragon
catch up here by Diesel Dragon.
He almost took it. That was going to be very close as Pickle. They were both going to do some wall riding here as they come onto the second lap. Dragon taking the inside line. Oh my gosh, this is so close of a race. Neck and neck. Oh, the knockdown. Another one coming out here. And it's going to be Pickle on the back foot once again. This guy cannot catch a break.
The fact that it happened so late in the race might spell doom.
Yeah, it might be it for Pickle. Oh, Diesel Dragon, a bit of a mess up there. Pickle's going to have some opportunity to catch up. It might be too big of a lead for him to do so, but that's one of those fumblings we saw Diesel Dragon do after he got a knockdown. Maybe some nerves catching him like, oh, I'm going to win. Wait, hold on. And then he makes a bit of an error, but he's going to recover it as we go into the straightaway. This might be over, I believe, for Pickle. Diesel Dragon doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon, opting for the safer route. We don't see him going for those ramps, get some airtime on these sand dudes on the beach. And this is where the race became super close, but unfortunately now during this lap doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And yeah, Pickle unfortunately just can't quite catch up. Not enough opportunities to get some speed tricks in here. Diesel Dragon going to be taking that safe route here going into the final stretch of our race. Yeah, not even opting for that barrel roll there. He's going straight head on. RPM Pickle catching up just a bit, but it's not going to be enough road for him to do so. And there we have it. Diesel Dragon takes the victory.
And takes the game, set, and match. Diesel Dragon wins this one and wins it all. That's going to be the grand final. Diesel Dragon snaps 3 out of 4. Because of that, he's on top. Pickle in that second place, but Diesel Dragon really, really earned this one.
Yeah, this was incredibly close. Look at how insanely tight these players take those corners. They're neck and neck most of the time. And so these players both played very well. I think if it weren't for those knockdowns, we would have had some incredible lines here on our hands. But unfortunately, that knockdown came in. Maybe Pickle wasn't quite aware of his surroundings. Maybe he wasn't sure if he should take that ramp or go safe. But he got knocked down as a result of it. And Diesel Dragon here, he takes the victory.
I mean, I have another one of those like annoying caster phrases when it comes to this. Hesitation leads to devastation.
Yeah.
You have to make that decision before it's time to actually execute. And so because of that, I think that's why we see Pickle celebrating a silver instead of a gold. But we have a gold right here. How you doing, bud?
Oh, gee, thanks. That was nice. I mean, today is apparently the day of knockdowns. I don't think we've ever seen that many before in one of our events. It's been a very, very fun way to start off and now close out our Android bracket.
It's been fun, and honestly, we talked about like what's dirty, what's okay. This all seemed like, clean is the wrong word, but this all seemed above board. Nothing seemed like anybody like real dirty play. This seemed like knockdowns happen, bro.
Yeah, I mean, in racing, things can happen if you're not aware of every millisecond, all your surroundings. That's exactly what happened. Diesel Dragon got a couple knockdowns, and that was the deciding factor. Pickle taking second place. I'm still happy for my boy representing RPM, but unfortunately just couldn't quite close it out this time around. But he's getting closer. Like I said last time, he didn't make it to the finals, but this time he did ever so slightly, creeping up to Elite Joe's title victories.
And that's also the other, the other story that we've got to kind of comment on is the fact that Elite Joe not here in the finals, Glitter, that is an outlier.
It is. It is. I mean, we saw on the bracket there, obviously, we have Diesel Dragon taking the whole thing home, Pickle in second place, CJ in third, and Joe down there in fourth. I mean, it was an unexpected day, to say the least. But that's what we love about this, because every single one of our competitors has been here before. They're all very experienced. They're all very good at this game. And it just shows that the competition is getting that much closer every single year, because not in a mean way, guys, okay? But neither one of you called how this was going to end up.
Nope,
that's true. That's true.
Like I said, that just means sports happened. And because of that, Diesel Dragon going to be taking home $1,200 and $700 in the pocket for Pickle.
Whew, great day. Great way. I mean, congratulations one more time to Diesel Dragon, $1,200. Not too shabby. All right. That's got to feel good. And the title of champion. But that's it for our Android bracket. But don't forget, we still have our iOS bracket on the other side of this break. And that one's going to be just as exciting, to be sure. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the Snapdragon Pro Series.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Monster Energy, and DHL.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true. Where everything you want can be yours. If and only if you're willing to work for them. You're willing to hurt for them. But most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast. I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy, and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha. Yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what is meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me, how'd I turn pain into energy. Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
I'm on the mission, snap any minute, casually winning. Stop tripping on me, stop dissing on me. Yeah, I got a dream, can't take it from me. My fire's burning, now I'm always learning. Tell me where to go, man, I'm on a journey. Yeah, I can't explain it, I get excited. Keep a 300, King Leonidas. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. Ain't got no time for no fear.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Snapdragon Pro Series. We just wrapped up our Android bracket of Asphalt 9, and Diesel Dragon takes home the title of champion with a phenomenal performance across the board. And now that that one is done and dusted, it's time for us to jump into our iOS bracket. Of course, hello, hi, welcome back. Your host, Glitter Explosion, alongside F-Dot and Marf, who've been killing it all day so far on the mic with some really fun races to talk about in Android. So I'm hoping that iOS can now live up to that hype.
It's going to be tough. We had the best player in the game fall down in the early phases, and then the last one went 4 out of 5 possible games with players separated by a hair.
Oh my God, it was some intense racing, some amazing photo finishes, but here we can see the bracket. Froxron going ahead, and we've seen him in a grand final before, and so he's won the last tournament, and we'll see if he can do it again.
Yeah, we'll notice on here that Cheese Leopard is down there in the third place match. He did decide to drop out of the tournament, so we will be starting off the day with that match between Pulsar and K. But of course, once again, our prize pool happens for the Android bracket. It happens again for our iOS bracket. $1,200 on the line for that first place finish. Second place taking home $700, and then going on down from there. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for this. Now, obviously, though, before we get into all that action, different bracket means different players, which means different players for you guys to keep your eyes on. So, F. Dot, who you got this time?
Well, first off, let me apologize because last time I picked someone, they got wiped out way before they needed to. But Frog Saran is my selection. Listen, love where the name comes from. I actually got a chance to see this guy race last time around in the Season 1 finals, and this guy brings it. I also really love the choice of qualification track. I think it really kind of shows your hand into what type of driver you are. Do you prefer the top speed? Do you prefer the twisty turnies? And I think the choice here was a great insight into how Mr. Saran hits the track.
Yeah, this was an insanely technical qualifying run by Frog Saran. Incredible things. This guy just breaks the game every season. New tricks coming out that I just had no idea existed. And yeah, just amazing clean lines here from Frog. It was obvious he was going to qualify this time around. I mean, like, returning champion, of course. Got to have it any other way.
I mean, speaking of returning champion, too, we got a chance to sit down with Frog Saran and talk to him about that World Championship run.
Actually, we had competition between 3 players. It was QWERTY and RPM Kepa, Chim actually. And we're uploading a video each time who sets a new world record, uploading a video. Then I upload my video with 1 minute and 1 second, 85 milliseconds, and that's it. It was standing for a year. No, I'm mostly upset because we didn't have much competition in our competition. It's only basically 3 players who are good with this card, and yeah, I'm looking forward to set new world records. Well, I already used to play with Pulsar back in spring season 2021, and I lost with small addition of San Francisco trick that happened to me. Well, don't know what I'm talking about from our community. And yeah, well, he's most definitely the best player among who's qualified, for me at least. Definitely. Because, first of all, I already know how he's playing, mostly on my level, maybe a bit higher, a bit lower in some maps, in some cards, but be basically the same. So it could be interesting for us and for viewers too. Yeah, well, not particularly to him, but to his club. Like, we all know RPM is dominating Europe session, but you guys forgetting about us in NA. You're getting only 2 players, and we from RPM too, getting 2 players, and not so hard for us, you know. Well, I'd like to say my club, first of all, my oldest teammate I used to play with, his name is Stanex. He helped me with a map routing, with the tricks, with all this. Also, for support, I'd say, moral support, I'd like to thank Anne and MT, who's known as Phantom Blaze. They're cool guys. And for audience, I'd say continue playing Asphalt 9. It's definitely growing with time. And yeah, learn good tricks. Don't use touch drive, please. You're stopping us in multiplayer. But other than that, that's it.
I mean, world records, a former champion, and style to boot. Not everybody can do that.
I mean, listen, he's wearing the esports tuxedo, the blazer over the t-shirt. I got to take points away for that. But he's got a lot of books, so I got to give him points for that.
I love Frog Saran, returning champion here. Great personality, great to see him back. And I'm really excited for this matchup if it happens between a couple of different players we've seen before.
Yeah, I think that Frogstoron's most certainly going to be a very difficult competitor to beat. But Marv, I need to ask you the same question because different bracket, new players. Who are you keeping your eyes on?
You know we love our boys at RPM, and this time around I'm going to predict Pulsar because he's been a longtime member of RPM, a great guy to chat with, and an amazing racer as well. Glad to see him here in the finals. And yeah, we'll take a look at his qualifying lap here in the Amira on New York. Again, one of those tracks where you got some nice balance between straightaways and 90-degree bends. Taking advantage of that airtime in the Amira, a D-class car, but it can punch above its weight class. What an incredible forced barrel roll. We didn't see that on the Android side, but Pulsar executes it perfectly.
I also think it's kind of cool choosing to qualify on a D-tier car.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have some mastery to achieve a certain amount of skill with some of these D-class cars that, like, some of the higher-end cars, you might be like, oh, it's easy to drive. It goes 300 miles an hour. Why not? But with these D-class cars, it's really tough to maximize their potential.
Listen, not only is he good at Asphalt 9, but we also got to chat with him a little bit about what he enjoys outside of this game, and he has some pretty cool hobbies that are kind of out of this world.
I decided to sort of join the community and go with some sort of alias. I initially wanted to do something to do with space. So like I started off with Astro or something like along those lines. But I kind of migrated away from that and moved into Pulsar just because it just felt like it made a lot more sense. I also vaguely remember making a poll and posting it into the community, asking people what name sounds better. And I think Pulsar won. So I guess that's the ultimate reason why I went with it. Also, I guess it kind of makes sense because pulsars are these objects in space that spin super fast. So I guess it's a very vague connection, but it's a connection nonetheless that it might relate to my ability to drive cars fast in video games. So that's kind of what I went with, and I stuck with it for, I guess, 5 years at this point. Yeah, astronomy has been my longest lasting passion. I got into it literally 10 years ago. I found a book and a telescope, dusted it off, and I went right into it. Usually when I learn things, I pick it up quickly, and it's kind of a phase. But this phase, if it is a phase, it's lasted forever because it doesn't seem to have an end to it. I really love space. I think it's the coolest thing, and it seems like going into the future, it might be a big part of my career because I went into an aerospace-related career going into college. So, yeah.
I mean, astronomy and being top at this game, I feel like everyone just gets more and more talented the more we get to know our players.
I mean, that's really the cool part, getting to know your players. Listen, very rarely, actually in the car world, usually I say nobody's rooting for the avatar. Some people just might be rooting for the car. I know car guys, so that might be a thing. But rarely is that the case. You're really rooting for the player behind it, and so getting a chance to see that human side of things, very cool.
I love that he mentioned Pulsar spin really fast because you can get some insane 360s in this game. I mean, can he pull his name into the game and do some insane 360s? We'll just have to wait and see.
Well, of course, obviously, those are just our casters players to watch. It's still anybody's game. It is the era of everyone. So let's take a look at how everyone qualified to get here, and then we'll talk about our first match, which is right around the corner. As you can see here, Frogstoron up there. Look at that. Look how close the times were for Frog and Pulsar. Like, come on.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, these players are separated by tenths, sometimes hundredths of a second. So every little thing, if you can get off the ground for 0.2 seconds, worth it.
Yeah,
Literally,
absolutely.
Every single one. I can't. That's crazy. Let's talk about Pulsar and K. That's our first match.
Man, as the other single letter named person out here, I look at K and I go, that's a cool lower third. But how does the gameplay match? When I take a look at K and how they qualified here, what does this player say to you as far as their play style is concerned?
I mean, this says to me precision. I mean, there's no like insanely crazy things coming out here. Scotland is a simple track to learn, but it's easy to learn, hard to master, and that's where we're going to see Kay taking the advantage here in this qualifying run. Another clean lap by all of these players, but Kay definitely knocked it out of the park with this one, driving along the nice coastline there. Water splashed on the windshield. It's a beautiful track, absolutely.
Yeah, really pretty to look at, and I'm sure he thought it was extra pretty as Kay winds up qualifying up here for our competition. Trying to get the money again, $1,200 on the line here. That's one of the cooler moves I think you can make on Scotland, is that little ride down on the side.
Yeah, I mean, this move I don't think existed like a few months ago, and then all of a sudden these pro players are just implementing it like it's nothing. I mean, I am so impressed this time around. We could see another airspeed trick coming out here. Again, one that we didn't know existed a while ago until recently, so incredible stuff coming out from these players.
New tech, that's what keeps these games kind of fun and interesting, is the fact that there is always new tech. These are our tracks that we're going to be jumping into as far as our semifinals are concerned. San Francisco and Himalayas, and then we'll run into Auckland if we need it. But streets, cliffhanger, and starting grid are the variants.
Absolutely. And yeah, San Francisco, Himalayas, very different tracks. Auckland, quite the opposite of Himalayas. So again, more variety coming out here. And I'm really excited to see how these players master these tracks in the Lotus Evija.
All right, chat. It is a new bracket, which means it's another question for you. Okay, we've got new players, and we want to know who you think is going to be taking home this semifinals match and making their way through to finals. Will it be Kay or will it be Pulsar? Let us know your thoughts in that poll down below in Twitch chat. It's going to be another close one, or at least I anticipate it will be, because today's been pure chaos. I'm here for it. Let's dive into the iOS bracket.
We are certainly agents of that chaos, so we will see how it comes. But at the end of the day, it's up to the players to kind of drive the show and, well, deliver us that chaos if we get it. So that's what we're going to be jumping on into. Kay here versus Pulsar.
And here we see Pulsar taking the second place out of the gate, Kay taking a short lead. Again, nothing crazy. Thankfully, this time around, we won't see any close contact like we've seen in the Android bracket. Sometimes iOS can be that demolition derby. Maybe it'll be the opposite. Maybe we'll see some incredibly close, clean races. Kay and Pulsar taking very similar routes. Kay managing their nitro incredibly well going onto these two barrel rolls. Again, San Francisco is a very vertical track. You want to make sure you have shockwave, because going up in the air requires a lot of acceleration to take advantage of that airspeed. Both players opting for the traffic route. Oh my gosh, they're just so clean. No mistakes here coming out from either player, as Kay is already into the corner here and does an incredible 360 turn to make sure he optimizes that drifting speed.
Trying to find the perfect balance in that turn specifically. You know you're going to hit the rough terrain. How do you exit? Do you have the boost afterwards to find that, regain your momentum and the speed that you lost by hitting the grass? That's one of the bigger decisions that you have to make. That's an actual decision and not just a reaction. And that's one of the cool parts about the game.
Yeah, you have to combine reaction with insane decision-making. Every little second counts. We saw Kay not opting for that wall speed trick we've seen previously. I believe Pulsar managed to pull it off, but that gap is going to close ever so slightly, but Pulsar is still on the back foot. He needs to either hope that Kay makes some big mistake, or he's got to pull out something that we haven't seen before. And here we go, on the straightaway.
Yeah, this is where you want to tee up your barrel rolls. Okay, good. Thought Pulsar was going to nail the building there. Got away from it still. Unable to really regain speed. Check a look at this though. Kay beating Pulsar in the boost category. Just hand over fist. Has more options available to him, and I think that's why he's maintaining this first place position.
Yeah, Pulsar opted to go on the inside line, but while he did that, he avoided the nitro bottles, didn't let him get shockwave. Even though he's going to do this airspeed trick there, oh, he crashes into the barrier. Unfortunately, that'll be it for Pulsar in this first race, as Kay crosses the finish line after a very clean race.
Unfortunate for Pulsar there. That said, I mean, you know, I think kind of saw the writing on the wall, so that crash not overwhelmingly disappointing. I think it went awry a little bit earlier there. Where do you think the moment was that separated our two racers?
I think it was throughout the game. We've seen a lot of opportunities for Kay to use shockwave while Pulsar didn't, and Kay managed their nitro efficiency so much better. And I think all throughout the race, Kay just managed to widen that gap ever so slightly with that nitro management. I think that was the deciding factor between these two racers for San Francisco.
Scary place to start if you are Pulsar, as we head over to Himalayas after the fact. but a kind of different map, I think, when it comes down to it. And so some of the things that went awry for him on San Francisco, Pulsar might be able to pick up and move in a different direction coming into race number 2.
Yeah, Himalaya is very top speed oriented, but we'll see some slight differences maybe in the routes that these players take, and I think that is going to be the deciding factor. Can they nail those different barrel roll jumps? We've seen some players fumble before.
Yeah, that is the scary part, because you've got to, because you're at this level, and that's the thing is, like, at a lower level, you might be able to say, listen, you know, if I take the barrel roll, I'm going to go a little bit faster, but it's dangerous and I might crash, so I'm going to opt not to. If you opt not to here, that just might be it. You might just lose, because at this level, all of these players are going for those forced barrel rolls and stuff like that. So jumping into Himalayas, it's going to be about maintaining that top speed and making sure to stay up that number 1.
Absolutely, and as Kay is a newcomer, I believe, to the tournament bracket format, again, we mentioned earlier, these qualification laps were by themselves, no second player, and no second lap as well.
Big.
Going into that second lap, you need to keep your momentum, and here on Himalayas, that's a very big factor, as we see Kay taking another slight early lead here, but Pulsar does have the opportunity to maybe go a bit low on this jump to go around. Ooh, we're going to see very identical routes. Oh my gosh, Kay wrecked on the barrier there. It's easy to mess up. You might not see it coming, but Kay unfortunately didn't, and that is a wreck as a result very early on here.
An entire race to go, but still can be a little scary here. Both players opting for that's the scariest speed trick, I think, that we see in the tournament, is taking that kind of jump into the canyon, looking for the barrel roll across. But both players wind up nailing it, and because of that, we're maintaining our 1-2 positions.
Yeah, Kay took an interesting route there, not opting for the barrel roll on the inside. I believe that's going to cost them a bit more speed loss as Pulsar widens this gap. Actually, this is a pretty big lead here. I think this is going to even our score here as Pulsar shoots into the second lap with a very wide lead. Kay may manage to pick up the pace here if they go for the barrel roll on the side. Will they do it? They will, and with the shockwave, that's going to give them a bit more speed. Ooh. But Pulsar definitely has the advantage coming in on the second lap, already into those second barrel rolls, not opting for it. Again, we've seen players in the lead opt for safer routes, and this is what's coming in from Pulsar.
Well, right away, Pulsar is going to avoid the situation that Kay ran into in lap number 1, and so that clean and clear. Kay, honestly, I think has their work cut out for them, because Pulsar, this lead has only gotten bigger since Kay fell down before, but that's a big play.
Yeah.
Kay actually maintaining the airspeed by landing on the rail, 50-50 style, shout out to the skaters, but not enough to maintain, because again, Pulsar's lead has been growing the entire time.
No, he was playing absolutely perfectly during that first section of the second lap. No mistakes coming out whatsoever, and took the inside line, which gained him a bit of speed. Kay definitely got the advantage in terms of airspeed, but Pulsar just took a shorter route, and I think that's going to secure his victory here on Himalayas. I think we're looking at Auckland.
I think we are. Pulsar has to feel good about this one. The question I ask you, which I don't think is as simple as it was before, could Pulsar have won if Kay didn't wreck earlier?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've seen Pulsar. He managed to take some tactics there, like we saw, learning how to adapt to being in the lead, taking it slower, taking it more carefully. And here we go. Here's the mistake from Kay, running into that barrier. Ooh. Sometimes you just lose control of the car, but that was it.
And it looked like Kay, that happened because Kay they were really stretching to grab those nitros.
Yeah.
Grab those bottles. Sometimes you've got to leave them because they lead you to disaster. Couldn't figure out, and again, I think it was that split-second decision where he's like, should I go for the nitro? Should I make the turn? Oh, I'm already wrecked. And so that made them run into a rough spot. Because of that, race 3.
Absolutely. We're going to go to Auckland, which is a very twisty track modeled after real race tracks. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how these players use the Avia, which sometimes the handling, as we saw in the Himalayas, even though it's a top speed oriented track, if you can't quite nail the handling of this car, you're going to mess up and wreck, hit some walls. We did see some wall touches in our previous games. Maybe we won't see that out here. I mean, this was overall a pretty clean game.
Yes, this one particularly was. And when you look at this, when you look at our bracket down here in iOS land, I think cleanliness is kind of the key for these players.
Absolutely. Unlike the destruction derby of the Android, this one came down to player error, which I was surprised to see because these players should know every little detail. So it was unfortunate that Kay wrecked. We'll see what happens as we get into our third race here on Auckland. And as we can see, K taking that same route CJ did previously. I didn't think it was useful, but here we go. K, will he take the early victory, getting some airspeed here? And he does. Pulsar is in behind K as we go onto our first lap. Another interesting decision made by these players, and maybe a gap in knowledge here from K to Pulsar.
Well, this one a lot closer than it was last time around. K in track number 2 wound up falling down like that, and Pulsar does it as well.
Unfortunate.
And that one might, that one might beat all the marbles, Marv.
Yeah, I think this might be it for my boy Pulsar. Unfortunately, going for a risky barrel roll. We saw K avoid that because sometimes those can be a bit finicky. You might land on your back like a turtle who just can't get back up, and that's exactly what happened. Pulsar, man, it was such an unfortunate choice there. I mean, you got to go for the risks at some point, and he wanted that airspeed. It just didn't work out. He tried to recover. I saw the attempt to recover. If you hold the brake in midair, sometimes you can recover the car, and that's what he tried to do. It was just a bit too late. Maybe if he reacted sooner, we wouldn't be in this situation. Now, we're not out of the gate yet. If K makes a very egregious error here on the second lap, Pulsar, another one. Oh, no.
That one, unfortunately, is going to be all the bagels there. Like you said, man, I mean...
K wrecked.
K left the track.
We got a double whammy there. The gap might close. I still think K is going to take this. You can't even see Pulsar on the mini-map anymore. So, I mean, this gap is very big. Oh, yeah, you can see the gap here is very wide. K, I don't think he has anything to sweat about. And Pulsar, I think he knows his destiny is that third, fourth position there. K taking it onto the straightaway here, going into the green flare area. Nice little pretty area. I love the track at nighttime. Lighten up is really great to look at. But unfortunately, even though we've seen some mistakes on this track, which I thought would come out, Pulsar made more, unfortunately.
K giving Pulsar the old homie stock, but still not enough to overcome what went down here, unfortunately.
Oh, some interesting 360s coming out. K looking more like a Pulsar than Pulsar.
That one moving fast like a Higgs boson. Get that?
Oh, I do. That was nice. That was a good reference. I like that one. But as we can see here, K coming into the final straightaway, taking the victory and going into the finals against Frog Saran.
Man, this one. So we saw earlier the last bracket, it was clean, but it was like a lot of player versus player bumps and bruises. We come over here and the players are far away from each other, but they're making their own mistakes by honestly trying to push that envelope. K winds up crashing earlier on, trying to get the most boost possible from all those nitros on the ground. Pulsar earlier opts, or Pulsar now opts for these sort of risky maneuvers, winds up falling down to the wayside. So these players kind of making their own mistakes, but while they reach for the stars. So I applaud the effort. Unfortunately, rip.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate from Pulsar there. Good attempt at some of those risky maneuvers, but just quite didn't work out for him, and my boy's not making the grand finals.
Pulsar is not, but K is.
I do appreciate that you followed up on my dad joke and snuck your own in there during that race.
Gotcha.
Okay? Shout outs for that. But GG's. Great race out of K. K making their way through onto finals. That has got to feel good. Pulsar putting on a strong performance, just not going to make the cut here. But I think that he might be done here. But Pulsar has one last race left in him. So let's check that out.
Should be fun.
I think around the same time I got into Asphalt, competitive Asphalt, I also sort of got sucked into the competitive Rubik's Cube area of interest, and I guess Asphalt 9 took off way quicker than the Rubik's Cube competitive scene did for me, because I just spent more time on Asphalt.
Oh, this was a really long time ago. I think in like grade 4, I started because there was a friend of mine who was passionate about it, who taught me some of the different types of Rubik's Cubes, and I really got into it and started collecting them. But I kind of paused that hobby for a while, and I just got back into it like maybe a year or so ago.
It's interesting because it has a lot of so the Rubik's Cube and the whole idea of being competitive at it has a lot of parallels with Asphalt itself, in that you're just trying to do the exact same thing over and over again, but trying to improve your time and improve your performance. And there's obviously no end to it.
I think they're very different skill sets.
I would be more confident in Asphalt 9 than in Rubik's Cubing, just mainly because I just don't know if he's an actual god at Rubik's Cubing or if he's just a beginner. It could be anywhere in the middle. But I'm not sure if I really like my chances, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. I have one here, I'll scramble it up, just like a window.
All right, I think it's a fair amount. You might have to just trust me with it.
That's pretty scrambled. Alright, that's not bad.
Wow, yeah, no, there was no chance unless I got a super lucky scramble.
Okay, that was cool.
That was, I'm impressed. Like, just straight up, I really going into this, I was like, look at these nerds, can't wait to make fun of them. They're both smarter than me,
Yep.
and that's what I'm just gonna say. Okay.
Can you do that, Marv? I feel like you
No.
look like you might secretly have a Rubik's Cube talent.
Nah,
Now you stack cups, yeah?
I stack victories.
Wow. He got you with that one. That was quick with it,
Had to
Marv.
do it to
Great
him.
job, but
got me.
obviously, great job to Pickle and Pulsar as well with our little Rubik's Cube race. They're just a little bit of fun. Before we head into the finals, okay? We're going to take a look back at the bracket because it is that time again. Ladies and gentlemen, you see Frog, Saran, and Kay making their way through to finals. Pulsar taking home that third place spot. Congratulations to Pulsar. But now it is time to get into the real action. We've gotten a chance to talk about both of our players so far, but we got to start with Frog for these finals.
I mean, this is the David versus Goliath. This is the established versus the unestablished. This is, you know, Zapman versus the Clown. Everybody knows Frog Saran. They've seen him before. He's won before. He won the last time. And taking a look at the qualifying run, we talked about how difficult his choice of track was. This is the bar. And also, we talked about it earlier. This guy's just cool. This is the bar for this bracket for sure.
Yeah, he's got to be calm and collected coming into these finals. I'm sure he does have experience, and so we'll have to see how he manages to deal with the pressure of a newcomer in those grand finals in the form of Kay. But as we can see with this qualifying lap, he has nothing to worry about in terms of how he can master these tracks, and yeah.
And then on the other side, Kay, welcome to the bracket, my friend. You mentioned before that this is a newcomer, so that helps and hurts. Helps you because when it comes down to separation of players in Asphalt, it's about player tendency to a certain extent, and so Yog does not know what to expect out of Kay. But also on the other side, Kay, it is different playing live in tournaments.
Absolutely. In those qualifying laps that we just saw, you can replay the races. You can choose like how you watch like maybe different routes or things like that to know the track before you play on it. Whereas here it's a live tournament environment. You got other players to worry about. You got 2 laps instead of 1. So maybe Kay is a bit nervous about how to deal with this, especially in a final. We saw some mess ups there. But yeah, we're going to take a look at this best of 5 and the different tracks we have to offer for you guys.
It's going to be Shanghai, Cairo, and the Midwest We'll go to Caribbean and New York if we need them. Last time around, we did 4 out of the 5. I think that is very possible this time around as well. Shanghai was pretty interesting. I think U.S. Midwest was the one that separated our players the most last time around. And so again, that's the one I'm looking at.
Yeah, we saw with U.S. Midwest some players hitting the walls a lot, which is very unfortunate. It's one of the oldest tracks in the game, so maybe we'll see some of that fumbling here in this best of 5.
Well, I hope you guys have reset yourselves because I know it came up quickly. It's time for our iOS bracket finals. The players are ready to go. They are locked and loaded on that first track. Let's dive into it.
Jumping right into it. Thanks so much, Glitter, as we jump into our iOS finals. Frogs are on. Don't look him in the eyes. He's got the lead just now. Little tied up, but then Frog winds up on the outside track, actually taking the advantage here.
Uh-oh.
K, a little bit of trouble on the back end.
I think they just went just out of the bounds of this track, which could cost them the track at this point. Like, that's very early on. Sometimes you can wreck in different places that let you just hit the ground running when you respawn and go right back quick into it. But this time around, K was just on the ground, very low top speed. It's going to take a while before he can see some catching up, and maybe we might not see a full catch up after all. Froxron looking to barrel down these straightaways here on Shanghai and take the first map if he doesn't mess up. That's the thing.
Big if, big if. But when it comes down to it, these straightaways, and Shanghai seems to offer a lot of straightaways with a couple of little speed tricks that you got to look for, more so than twists and turns. And I think these tracks are easier to maintain a lead in than some of the twisty turbies.
Yeah, it's an easy track to learn, but hard to master in the sense that you see some speed tricks coming out here and there, like K just went on that rail there to get some more top speed. But Froxron over here, you can see he's just taking everything very carefully, making sure not to mess up his lines. And we saw some discovery last time on what route is best, but there weren't any crazy changes like some of the other tracks. But he's just taken all of this with, oh my gosh, just absolute masterful driving coming here from Froxron.
It's just so smooth. I mean, this is the type of, we use textbook a lot, you know, in the commentator booth, but this is one of those VODs that you can go back and watch and improve your own play. There are some crazy maneuvers that Frog's doing, but there's also just cleanliness. Repeat these lines and you will come closer and closer to finding personal best, because at the end of the day, it's just about keeping it clean.
Also, you want to look at the nitro efficiency of these players. Sometimes you'll see them go off barrel rolls with the shockwave, and that is key to getting up to your air top speed. Sometimes we saw K, for example, not quite going up with the shockwave, and that lost some more speed. But as we can see, Froxron taking the first track here in our best of 5. K knows it as well, just sort of dragging along to the finish line. Oh, man.
So we've mentioned a lot about the different speed tricks that we can look for. We've also talked a little bit about boost efficiency and finding the proper ways to go ahead and purple yourself, etc., etc. But one thing that we haven't really mentioned too much of, because we haven't gotten a chance to, is the drift techniques. A lot of the floaty drifts and stuff, is that just because of the car that we're using that we're just not in that direction?
Yeah, if you have a really high top speed car, you see a lot of those floaty drifts. We haven't seen a lot of those coming out here, but part of the reason might be because we've seen these big leads, players want to play more safe. They don't want to risk any loss of speed whatsoever, so they're just playing simple. Drift around normally, don't take any crazy nitro punches or anything like that.
You know, that's the stuff that really, like, you kind of got to pull out maybe when you're in behind and try to find those extra seconds to catch up when you already know kind of what's going to happen here. So taking those risks, this is what's different about being on this stage, playing for the money rather than just kind of trying to climb the leaderboard. Things change, absolutely. And then there's also, listen, there's also that intangible of everybody's watching. You just don't want to mess that stuff up while the world is watching. And that sounds like something that doesn't, you know, a lot of people are very statistics oriented, and that doesn't wind up on the scoreboard, but it's real.
Absolutely. You might get those nerves when K, especially being a newcomer to these types of formats, maybe they got some nerves in that situation.
I think the wreck that we saw from K last match was a nerves wreck.
Absolutely.
That one, K, we asked them, if we asked them how many times they've run that track, the answer is in the thousands.
Probably.
And we asked them how many times they've crashed there, the answer is probably less than 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to watch out for that type of stuff. That's the things. Those are the things that change when you're sitting there and those split-second decisions that you've made a ton of times. All of a sudden, there's a different light on it. There's a different perspective, and it might slow you down.
It changes how you hold your phone. It changes how your perspective on the tracks. Like, oh, are you going to overthink it? Are you going to try and play safe? There's so many different techniques coming into this. It's hard to tell which players are going to choose which routes.
Actually, yeah, we're just getting here. We have been asked for a little brief timeout. Kay needs a second, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. Kay just comes through semifinals, winds up leaving it on the field, 3 races in a row, comes into the finals against the previous winner. Listen, I need a breather too, man. I would absolutely ask to take 5. That's the type of stuff that we're talking about. Hopefully, there's a lot of talk about momentum. I think this is very important for Kay. Taking the technical timeout and getting a chance to just put it down, go ahead, and we'll jump in a matter of seconds here. But I think this pause was super important, and I would love to see Kay take this track.
Yeah, and we're going to see another Cairo battle here between 2 legends, and getting some early nitro here from crashing into the traffic might seem counterintuitive, but it does give you some nitro to work with as Froxron slowly catching up to Kay. Can he go on the outside line? No, not quite. And Kay is going to take the early lead here and maintain it as we go into the pyramid section. Long straightaways, but wide corners. They're going to use perfect nitro sometimes around these corners. And looks like it's going to be Kay maintaining this lead, going into the pyramid here. Now you get some airspeed, but it can be a bit more technical. Oh, they're both going to go for it. What an interesting decision. Can Froxron go above and beyond? Not quite. They're neck and neck. Froxron doesn't want to risk it, and we saw last time if you go with the player on the ramp, you might actually get wrecked, and this time Froxron avoids that. Therefore, we still are in a close battle here as they head onto a really long straightaway.
Kay's lead actually growing now after the fact, and doing a great job of maintaining composure. Taking that 5 looked like it really worked out for Kay, as they are now significantly in the lead. And the scary part of the early segments of the race, where Frog was just a second behind, could have wound up Frog finding the take down. Kay avoiding that, very, very important.
Yeah, we've seen it in previous races where the player behind can sometimes knock the other player down in the middle of the air. Ooh, Froxron taking a different route. I haven't seen this one before. Oh my gosh, insane, but he does miss out on that barrel roll as a result of it.
Those are the types of adjustments and adaptations we're going to see Frog take. I actually, listen, not even rooting against anybody here. I'm excited to see the established veteran in number 2, because that means we're going to see some new tech as Froxron tries to retake from Kay.
Yeah, and the lead hasn't quite shortened all that much. We might be able to see it here on the straightaway, how both these players take some barrel rolls here, chaining together some nice airtime, and going a bit of a different route here, opting for straight ramps instead of the barrel rolls. And it doesn't look like this lead is going to be given up anytime soon. Kay is super composed.
It's growing, if anything. Kay, right here, loses a little bit of the steam, but Kay, I think, was picking it up earlier on. Just a little bit left to go here, and unless Kay makes a mistake, this is going to be the tie up here in the grand finals. One of the scarier parts of the track is this big turn. Both players come out of it, no problem. Finish line, Kay leads.
There we go. We have it. Kay taking a race here off of Froxron, and just some clean racing, and it was quite by a big margin there, as we could see from the leaderboard there. And I was quite surprised that some of these tricks that Froxron tried to bring out of the pocket just didn't quite work out, because it messed up some of the future ramps for him. Maybe not planned out quite well, not quite sure. Maybe some nerves being like, in another grand finals, but, you know, it is tough to get used to that situation, you know?
Well, that's the decision making that we were talking about earlier on, is that, so these pros have 2 things in mind. They have their run, where they can string together their speed tricks, and then they have just like the micros of those speed tricks in their brain. So all of a sudden, Kay finds themselves in the lead, and then Yag has to go, okay, I'm mid-run, we're halfway through the lap, what speed tricks can I pull out? I don't know if I can tie speed trick B into this ramp. Let's give it a shot. Oops, we can't. And now all of a sudden, that decision to go ahead, and we saw the odd routing there, that was the choice, but because of that, missed out on some of those ramps, so you miss out on some of those nitros, all of a sudden, those decisions start to compound, compact, and wind up in a loss ultimately for Frog.
Yeah, now, thankfully, it's 1-1. We still have a lot of race to run here for both these players. It's anyone's game at this point. And again, maybe we see the differences in skill set come out in the different types of tracks. Maybe one player has the advantage in something like Himalayas. Maybe someone else has the advantage in the Caribbean. So we'll have to wait and see.
And again, want to bring up how important that was. Kay, hey, admin, may I please just take a couple of minutes, put the phone down, get up, grab a lemonade, and right back to it. And right away, Kay finds themselves in the lead again. A little bit more so to avoid the takedown.
The inside.
But it's Yaga the inside to go ahead and take
they're
control.
neck and neck.
Just kidding. Who's in the lead?
Oh my gosh, Kay barely takes it on the inside again. Froxeron trying to battle so hard for this lead. This is one of the closest starts we've ever seen here, and this is going to be an incredible race if this is what has to come. Both players hit the barrel roll. Kay hits it more smoothly, so he's going to get an extended lead here. Oh, a bit of a messed up 360. This might cost him. Froxeron taking the outside at a higher speed. Froxeron takes it here as we head onto the rail race section. Oh my gosh, what an insane race.
What a beautiful overtake from Froxeron, but it's not done just yet. Kay's not going to be able to get the inside track there. We'll have a couple of opportunities. Don't forget, just lap 1. So everything we've seen here, we will get another look at.
This is one of the most exciting races I've ever seen. No player has messed up quite yet. We've seen some fumbles here, but nothing like anything too crazy. These players are catching up so close. Oh my God, it's the final lap.
This is big.
Or the final section of this first lap as they come neck and neck. Can they go into the wide corner here? They will. Will they go on the railing to get the efficiency of the airspeed? They both will. Nobody opting for the safe route this time around.
You cannot. You have to pull out every last stop to play this move. And right now, both of these players are making music. Froxeron still in the lead, but I don't think Kay is out of it. Watching how strongly they have been able to maintain control.
Oh no. Oh no, that was it. I think he missed the barrel roll there. He didn't wreck, but unfortunately cost a lot of time in the middle of the air, putting out some emojis to express his frustration as Froxeron barrels it down the train section.
I think that's what we call the caster curse.
Yeah.
I'm praising Kay's control,
Yeah.
and right then they wound up losing because of a lack of control.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate to see, and something where at that situation, even though you're behind, maybe you don't want to opt for that. You want to go with the safer route because you know you won't mess it up, and that's, you know, that decision-making, that split-second decision-making, and I don't think he made the wrong decision. Just, yeah, maybe you wanted to go for that safer route so you didn't have that weird thing happen, but here we go. Froxeron taking it, making two races here in the grand finals and a one-race lead above Kay.
I mean, here's the thing about that situation with Kay. Absolutely made the correct decision, objectively, hands down. Anybody that says otherwise, I think that is incorrect. I think that was the right choice, but like, even Babe Ruth struck out. You are not going to nail these 100% of the time. Kay comes through, and this was a fantastic race. This was one where, listen, I am rarely the nice guy here. This is an L that you can hold your head up high about.
Yeah, absolutely. This was like watching two painters paint on the same cardboard. I mean, it was incredible to watch these players battle here on Whirlwind Curve. Such a beautiful track to watch these stunts go through. And unfortunately, it was just those little mistakes by Kay that took it in the end. This was one of the closest first laps we've ever seen, and I was all for it. It was such an incredible thing to witness. And
this is what we signed up for, honestly, and right there, just a hair off, going for the fourth barrel, unable to find it, and because of that, Froxeron comfortably swings on by. Froggy now one away from the grand prize.
Absolutely. Again, great race we've just seen here on Whirlwind Curve, and maybe that part where you know, some players learn different tracks better. We've seen both of them take similar routes, but one just executed it a bit differently than the other.
Yep, just barely missing it there from Kay. But again, the performance there, nothing is telling me that this is over. I think we could definitely find ourselves in a map or a track number 5, excuse me. And so looking at what Kay's been able to do here, what's your takeaway? Kay is a newer player. You're a veteran of the scene. What is a quick scouting report of Kay?
Well, I think we just witnessed one of the slight errors of like trying to decide to go riskier instead of the safer route. But as we get into another track here on Caribbean, this is one of those opportunities where we can see Kay maybe opt for safer or riskier routes depending on where they want to go. But that was what I noticed last time around, was that little mistake of trying to go for that risky route where he could have gone safe, might not have caught up, but it would have given him the opportunity. Lots of spins here coming up from Froxeron on the straightaway. And they're neck and neck. Oh my gosh, he goes for the inside, the knock.
That was huge. That was huge. Froggy gets knocked into the water, the rough stuff, but It also takes away the ramp. That said, Frog still in the lead despite the fact that we see some smart physical play out of K. That said, the lead much shorter.
Oh, the knockdown coming out here on the beach. I believe Frog's Ron was landed upon by K. Very unfortunate to see. And some lack of like awareness maybe coming out from Frog's Ron. Didn't want to get land on. I mean, I wouldn't want a Lotus Avia on my head. It'd be kind of hurtful.
But it does mean you have a Lotus Avia.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I would want one of those, any day of the week. But K here extending their lead coming into the end of the first lap. And yeah, there we go.
I think this is the scariest moment of the tournament for K. Because this, all you have to do is stay alive.
Absolutely.
And if you do, you get a one race, it becomes one for the money, and that's it. But this is scarier than
Frog's
trailing.
Ron. Oh no. He landed backwards on the wood, so therefore he couldn't continue the speed, and that's just yet another way that K is going to gain this lead even more. At this point, we're looking at like 30% of the lap now, and oh my gosh, has K taken this victory? I think he has.
Yes, without a doubt, they absolutely have found themselves. And again, this is before Yogg found that second mistake, because now I think it's just kind of like done and dusted, easy peasy. But before Froggy made that second mistake, this was the scariest moment of the tournament for K. Not going up against whomever, not finding themselves in race number one, but having their back against the wall. And they're feeling saucy as well. You see the emotes coming out on the left side of the screen. K all day. We'll see you in track number 5.
Absolutely. And also you saw some different decision making from K out there in the second lap when he knew he had the lead. He took the safer route, therefore securing that victory, tying up the series. This is an exciting best of 5.
Froggy here has to bring it all out for number 5, which again, if you're Frog Saran, you have been here before.
Yeah, I mean.
So this is.
Ooh, the knock.
So that was intelligent play because they knew that wasn't going to be the end all be all. They had to keep up, and K did just that.
Yeah, and there was the crucial knockdown there in the barrel roll. Again, sometimes you want to try and make it lower than the other opponent so you can avoid those collisions. Didn't happen this time around. As we've seen previously, I believe all knockdowns have been on barrel rolls this time around. Yeah,
absolutely. The players are actively looking for that the Goomba stomp situation, right? Just land right on top, get the knockdown, and that puts you just in a position where all of a sudden the race becomes about cleanliness instead of finding those risky maneuvers and those air tricks. So certainly a nice look here for K as I put down 2-2 in my notebook because this is it. Frog Saran versus K. The David versus Goliath, the known versus the unknown. One race for the difference between $700 and $1,200.
This is going to be incredible. We went the full distance. I always love when a best of 5 goes the full way. Even though these races are quite short, they're intense. That whirlwind curve race was incredible as we head into the final track of New York, a very technical track with some nice straightaways here in the beginning of the race, but some twisty turns in the subway, as we'll see later on. How do these players navigate it? Will they do some crazy airspeed tricks? We don't see anything quite interesting out of the gate. Very technical, very safe from both players, but K is in an early lead, taking the inside. And there we go. Some 360s from Frog Saran, maybe going a bit behind here. K still in the victory. Oh, will he take the lead? No, he won't. K taking it a bit closer there into the subway track. We got some shockwave coming out.
No.
Frog hits a railing there. That's going to cost him not a full knockdown. It's not that big of a lead as it is quite early on in the race, but he'll have to do some amazing stuff to come back all the way.
Frog's been better with the nitro than K for my money, but K has just been clean, nailing these lines, and we see just how clean those lines are as Frog was unable to kind of follow suit. But now coming around one of the bigger turns on the map, and Frog just bashing against this wall like a roller derby. And so because of that, I think K feeling pretty good about this one.
Absolutely. Oh, they'll intersect up here. No, they won't. Frog Saran still behind a bit. We saw K make another safe decision instead of going for the risky route, hopping to avoid that barrel roll on the straightaway in the downtown area. Again, we've seen the adapted decision making, and I'm very proud of K for making that in the best of 5 grand finals here.
You have to shift your mindset just like you shift your car. Am I in the lead? Am I behind? How far in the lead am I? Right? With this is nearly a 4-second lead. You have the opportunity to make those really the boring routes, the safe routes. And you saw that intersection, you would not have been able to do that if there was 1 second separating the cars. But knowing that there's a larger one, Kay goes, all right, listen, I'm just going to do what the noobs do, play the easy way, and wait for you to mess up.
Yeah, Frog Saran not quite able to close this gap anymore. And unfortunately just faltering here in the last race. Kay barreling it down the side of the wall. You maintain your speed better if you hug the wall going around a corner. Will he take the ramp? Oh, he opted to take the ramp. That's an interesting decision. Oh no, the wreck at the last second. Frog takes the lead.
Wait.
He's gonna pull it back.
Oh my goodness, last moment. Kay.
No.
They were playing so safe.
Oh man.
Oh, the last moment goes to the veteran. Frog Saran is going to be your victor against all odds and leaving it to the second to last curve. Frog up on top, and what a surprise.
To quote Henry G, what a blunder.
Yes.
I mean, incredible blunder coming out from Kay at that last section. We saw on the first lap, he opted not to take that barrel roll. That made him take the lead and maintain it. But on the second lap, maybe getting a bit too risky, maybe getting a bit too confident. I don't know.
That might have been, listen, that might have been it. Kay, I think, literally one turn away from the grand prize.
Oh my gosh.
You asked for a close race.
I did. We got one.
We got one. All right. Incredible stuff. I am reeling as this one goes 3-2 to Frog Saran. Glitter, if you just look at the scoreline, you go, yes, of course, Frog won. But if you watch these races, what an incredible journey.
That not something that I anticipated. To be fair, I think the decision that Kay made at the beginning, like you were talking about, to take that break to kind of mentally reset was huge for them, okay? I personally felt like it made a big difference in the racing that we saw. They looked a lot more confident after kind of taking that reset and looked very strong heading into that last track. And you know what? Today is literally the day of upsets, whether that is being ousted as a champion or almost being ousted and then somehow saving it because of a failed barrel roll. Frog Saran ends up our champion for the iOS bracket, with Kay taking home second place, Pulsar down there in third, and Cheese Leopard in fourth. I mean, what a day. That was really cool. I'm not gonna lie, Marv.
That was extremely fun to watch. Every season, these races get more intense. Every season, these players bring the heat. And this time around, Frog managed to take it as a result of a mistake by Kay at the very end. We had some amazing photo finishes there. What an incredible series. I love it going all the way.
Yeah, and listen, you know, I'm sure I'm gonna bring it up. I'm sure Joe doesn't appreciate it, but Joe wrecked earlier today and wound up just listen. All right, one wreck means I lose the track. I understand. All right, see you later. And wound up plug pulling. Listen, we saw a lot of situations where there was wrecks and the players with the stick-to-itiveness were able to come back and make it happen. I'm looking at this one. I'm looking at one in the past. And so listen, man, like that, you have to kind of stick all the way through because you do not know what's going to happen on that second to last curve until you actually get there. So, I mean, I'm just looking at some of these newcomers. I'm looking at Kay and the longevity, the desire to stick it out. Very, very impressive, and I think has made this a data watch.
Absolutely. Kay made sure to put their name here, and it's great to see a newcomer advance so far into this tournament. What an incredible race by both of these extreme racers. Here we go, some replays of the best of 5. Frog Saran and Kay both doing some extremely technical races here. Both of these players played really cleanly, but we did see some wrecks here and there throughout the race, and that was unfortunate. Some nice side swipes here coming out from these players to get the advantage and some knockdowns.
What I think was really fun about watching this Frog versus Kay matchup, again, understanding that Frog literally won last time around and Kay new to the scene. We saw the emotes coming out. We saw the way these players were racing against each other. I really felt like mutual respect coming out here, right? The player could deny that technical timeout. Frog was like, no, you want to take 5? It's totally cool. I really felt a mutual respect of the newcomer and Frog. Very, very fun to watch, and just just a great, spectacular performance.
Well, I think you might even have an opportunity to ask him about that because we get the chance now to speak with our iOS champion. We've got Frogsteron on the line, standing by. Hello, welcome back. Excited to be able to talk to you again. And I know the boys are going to ask you this, but we need to know what was going through your head in those final moments on the last track. I mean, you were pretty far behind, and then you see the failed barrel roll.
Yeah, I know. I already was sure I'm lost, and well, I'm getting $700 for second place, but this guy helped me. He saved me.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
You got to have a support system. Congratulations on the win, Yag. I want to ask a little bit about your opposition, Kay. Newer to the scene. Seemed like you guys were having some fun, some mutual respect there. What can you say about Kay, your opponent?
Actually, we know each other for quite a time, and he goes with a different name. And I guess he already played in the ESL. I'm not sure in which season, but yeah, definitely he's not a newcomer to this stage.
New names. Good to know. Good to know.
Now, one thing that I wanted to ask is because you've won now twice, what is your mindset? How do you practice these amazing moves? How do you bring these new things to life that we've never seen before in the game?
Actually, I want to thank Future Flash for this. We were training a lot before the finals. He helped me quite a lot with this. So, yeah, it's a team, it's your friends. That's all there is.
Well, I love that. I love that. Now, like Marv just said, you now back-to-back champion, doing very well for yourselves. We're going to let you go, but before we do, as always, give some shout-outs to whoever you want to thank that's helped you along your journey.
Yeah, I want to thank Proteam. I want to congratulate Fabulous with his birthday. Like, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's our team leader. And yeah, basically, good luck, everyone. Hope you see you next season.
Oh, I think they will definitely be seeing you next season. Congratulations one more time on your win. Impressive, impressive performance.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Right?
Yeah, we love a good birthday shout
Little
out.
happy birthday in there. I mean, a plushie. That was a really cute moral support plushie. I'm on board with that.
Yes, I was gonna say that is the key to being Glitter's friend. Is you got a cute plushie put on camera. For me, it's a pet. You got a pet, put it on the camera. That's how you win me over. What about you?
I go the plushie route. I have the 8-foot teddy bear at home. I love the guy.
That's smart. That's smart. All right. Of course, though, we talked about it before. We'll review the pricing one more time because Frogsteron just went home with a cool $1,200 after winning out on the iOS bracket. Phenomenal performances across the board. Like we were saying, $700 going the way of Kay in yet another wildly close match. Probably the closest day of Asphalt competition, Asphalt 9 competition that we've seen ever. Love to see it, and I'm excited for more next time. Final thoughts, though, guys, on the day. I think, like I said, this was tough.
It really was. My biggest takeaway is the fact that you just got to stick to it. You know, looking at some players deciding to opt out, you just have to stick to it. I am so impressed with what Kay was able to do there, and that really is my takeaway. Just perseverance is a virtue.
Yeah, determination was the name of the game. We saw the players who stuck out towards the very end managed to get it over the line. Some nice photo finishes here. This is one of the best.
All right. Well, that was a great day. You guys crushed it. Thank you so much. But that's a wrap on our Season 2 of our Asphalt 9 finals. Obviously, we have to give a huge congratulations to our two champions. We had Diesel Dragon over on in the Android bracket, and of course, Frogsteron in our iOS bracket. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Monster Energy, and DHL for making this whole thing possible. And thanks to you in chat for hanging out with us today. On behalf of myself and my co-casters and everyone here at ESL Studios, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true. Where everything you want can be yours. If and only if you're willing to work for them. You're willing to hurt for them. But most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting, it's hot. Look what I got, whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast. I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy, and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha, yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha, yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what it's meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha, yeah, I'ma work